Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third Champions Cube draft. I am joined here with Davi De Souza, and we're going to be following Zach Kreckler through his draft through Champions Cube. Zach Kreckler, a very notable player, as you can see on the screen. Tons of events under his belt, not only in the Cube League circuit, but also in the official circuit. A regional champion, finalist at the EUIC in 2017, and also, most recently, top 16 at the World Championships in 2019. So, very accomplished player. I think probably one of the most decorated players in the Discord. Insanely intelligent drafter. You should be in for a real treat this time around. As you also can see, tons of Cube League accomplishments over the past year or so. Multiple Cube League finishes in first place, top fours, seconds, you name it. You're watching a master at work here. Davi, any thoughts on Zach? Any expectations you have? Anything you're excited to see?
Zach is a player that really likes to draft open. I've seen some crazy drafts from him. I drafted on the same pod as him many times, and he comes up with some crazy stuff. I'm just really excited to see what happens here.
Yep, and it looks like the draft is about ready to start, so we're going to hop over, seeing where those tabs are going. This cube is actually Delta EV, so has a very strong evolutions focus. As you can see, players are given 2 Delta EVs from the start, as well as weakness card energy. It features a lot of unique pairings for those EVs. You got a lot of all the different types. You got Umbreon, Vaporeon, Flareon, Jolteon, you name it. And they pair with a lot of these really cool stage 2 lines. It's a low to mid power-ish cube, you would call it. So the amount of turns you have is quite high compared to maybe something like standard. So the decks that are designed in these cubes are going to be a lot more methodical and a lot more they take more time to develop, so we'll see a lot slower strategies here. Looking at the first pack, we have quite a bunch of options here. Davi, what are you thinking from this pack?
I have to think about here. There's some really interesting cards. He can kind of stay open with some of these very strong trainer cards like Versus Seeker or N, cards that you use in any deck you want. Guzman Hall also really strong on a cube like this where you have so many strong like mutant evolve options on the tools in the stadiums. There's a few line toppers. There's a Sceptile, there's a Gardevoir. They're not really important line toppers. I don't know if Zach's gonna go for them. I think he'll probably go for either N or Versus Seeker. I personally would go for N. I told everyone many times how N and Rocket's admin win games. They win games on their own, and they are also really good in the early games. So there's no reason not to play them on literally any deck. Will play N. So maybe he has something in mind. He has a strategy that we don't know about, and one of these cards getting that strategy. I want to just note that there are 2 mutant zones in this pack and 1 mutant drink. That's like a lot of the pieces for that specific archetype. So it's already a good signal, right? That the Delta archetype is gonna run hot on this first pack.
Yeah, the Delta archetype has been something very strong, especially if you can formulate it early. Important to note that there are custom cards in this cube, as you can see by the Mutant Zone and the Mutant Drink here. Those are special mutant enabling cards that work for Delta species only. We do see him go for the N here. I am right with you. I think that card is a great pickup early. You tend to stay pretty open on the early picks of the draft, and I don't think Sceptile, EX, or Gardevoir are, I mean, they're decent cards, don't get me wrong, but they are not the insane amount of direction you would want. Nothing like maybe a jamming Ampharos, for instance, would lead to. So I definitely value picking N here. And the Via Seeker, also a very strong pick. I'm sure that will get grabbed up by the next person, unless they are really tempted by these Gardevoir and Sceptile EX. Gardevoir in this cube, though, has performed really well. We ran this in a previous tournament online, and the Gardevoir deck ended up winning. And that Psychic Connect allows you to maneuver Psychic energies from your Pokemon around the board, and Gardevoir does love getting Psychic Energies in play, so if someone is interested in that line, they might snatch that up, but I bet Zach here is just staying fairly open. Davi, any other thoughts? What do you think about the Sceptile EX in this pack?
The Sceptile EX is interesting. It's part of like 2 archetypes, the Delta one and the Sceptile one. The Delta one is kind of hard because there are 3 Delta mutant cards in this pack, so that Sceptile is kind of iffy. You're getting like the Sceptile on like one of them, maybe. I guess the Mutant Zone will surely like wheel twice in this pack. There are like better overall cards to pick. Mutant Drink will not wheel, pretty sure. The subtail is pretty good. It can be super annoying for some decks, like let's say Armaldo deck that wants to attack on 2 energy with Armaldo EX. Now you have to attack at 3. That's really annoying. You can't really attack back to back if you really want to attack with that. I think it's Spiral Drain, the name of the attack. And there are other decks like Typhlosion. Typhlosion Prime loses the Poké Power because it's considered an EX. So the Subtile deck has like some kind of leeway to play against Typhlosion in that regard. I think those are the 2 big ones, the 2 cards that get really. I guess Umbreon EX and Umbreon Prime can't also use their Poké Powers, which is pretty good. Darker Ring being the old school version of Lycanroc GX and the now Umbreon VMAX. And Umbreon Prime being that super annoying attacker that can go back to hand that has the super scoop up effect on its Poké Power. And we see another pack here. What do you think about this?
So my eyes instantly went to the Trader and the Sharing Milotic. Trader, obviously a very good consistency card, just like Pokemon Communication, reads the same. Sharing allows you to look at your opponent's hand every turn, and you have the option to use a supporter from their hand, kind of like Portrait Smeargle, but it's optional, so you don't have to discard your hand if they had a Juniper. But it's a really good consistency option, especially early in the draft where you can prioritize maybe Feebas later. Consistency Pokemon tend to carry a high premium amongst this cube because there's lots of ways to draw cards, but having an ability Pokemon that you can reuse every turn allows you to use other supporters, like maybe more resource heavy supporters like a Brock's Grit, or certain maybe power supporters like maybe a Black Belt or Kukui. So sharing tends to let you like extend your turns. Trader's also very important for your consistency. It's just an outstanding Pokemon search card. Allows you to shuffle back in other Pokemon maybe you don't want to get rid of, and that's a big thing in Cube. Resource management is a huge component of strategy in Cube because you're only given the cards you're drafted, so you don't exactly have 4 of copies of your best card. So if you can preserve stuff like maybe shuffling back in a important line topper after a Juniper, like that can be a big deal. And we are going to see him go for the Trader there. I think it also plays into the staying open. Sharing is great, but it's not the end all be all. There's a lot of draw Pokemon in this cube. You'll certainly have other opportunities, and the Trader's just too good to pass up, in my opinion. Davi, what are your thoughts, Trader over Sharing?
So important here is that there are no Phoebus in this cube because the Milotic is a Delta Pokemon. It can mutant evolve using the certain items like Mutant Drink, Mutant Zone, and Mutant Gene. It can evolve from other Delta Pokemon. So it's not as easy to play as it would be like a normal Milotic line where you just play the Phoebus and evolve it. You need like a second piece for that Milotic. So that makes the card a bit worse than like we usually think about how it is. I'm totally fine with this Trader here. It's a calm, it's the old school version, does the same thing. You just chuck that on every deck you play, just like that N. So we see that Zach kind of is padding up his consistency engine. Like his deck is gonna be decent no matter what. Only with those 2 picks, those are like pretty decent, pretty speedy, and pretty like good in disruption because N is N, right? So I think it is very correct to go for the Trader here. Stay open. And you also know that the Delta archetype has already a lot of cards on the pack you just passed. So that Milotic is not as good as it would be on like if you hadn't seen any Delta piece on like one pack. You only saw like 16 cards and you saw so many pieces. I'd be a little bit iffy to go to the Milotic at that time. We see another pack here. This one is also it's not as good as the other one, but there are some power cards here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good cards here. Pokeblower of note, you do get 2 copies if you draft it, so is a little bit of gust, but the Bill and the Mentor are also really good consistency, as well as the Ericas. I feel like you can't go wrong with any of those. I would probably lean towards the Mentor, which you do see Zach pick up here. Mentor allowing you to discard a card from your hand and grab 3 basics under 100 HP and put into your hand. So it's kind of like Collector. It was very popular back in the day when Holland engines were everywhere, and there is a strong Holland presence in this cube. So being able to grab a Holland supporter early, I believe there are something like 8 Holland
8. Yeah.
transceiver. So it's way easier to take transceivers after you have Holland supporters in your draft pool. So this is a perfect pickup here. I'm going to fault to him for maybe taking. I probably wouldn't take Erica's this early because Erica's is a good supporter, but it's definitely not on par with the setup power of Mentor in this cube. And then the Bill is also pretty nice to draw too, but I find Bill to be better later in the draft. I really want to establish my foundation early as a drafter. So I do agree with the Mentor pickup here. Davi, any other thoughts on what we've seen so far? We have seen a few line toppers go through. Nothing really of interest here. And of course, Zach's still staying open, but anything's caught your eye outside of maybe the Mentor and the consistency we've seen so far?
Not really. I think Zach is going for the correct cards to stay open here. Bill, like when you look at Bill, you go like, "Oh my God, this card is so good." It's a trainer you traded for another card, right? You use one to draw two, so it's only +1 to your hand. Not like crazy strong when you have only one copy of it. I'd still put it in any deck I play, but Hollow Mentor is just so important on lower power cubes where you need to set up, you need to get everything on the board as soon as possible. Start evolving. You probably waste 1 or 2 turns like not attacking or attacking with something like a Sableye or a Vulpix. The Mentor gets both of them. Also gets your attackers. Also gets Holland's Cast Farm, which I do think there is a single copy. Yeah, there's a single copy of Holland's Cast Farm, Magneton, and Voltorb, which are searchable energy with Mentor. So I'm totally fine with him going for a Mentor here. And we see now kind of a weaker pack in comparison.
Yeah, something of note, there are special cards in here as you're seeing the energy removal that are marked as A specs. Energy removal, of course, not an actual A spec that has been printed, but a card with such a strong power effect of just removing energy that in order to balance it, we limiting the effect of it to only being one copy of it, as opposed to cards like Computer Search. Yeah, I do agree this pack is a little bit lackluster. He could go for the Adventurer here, padding out more of that Holland energy. That Evo Soda is also very good. Evo Soda, just a great consistency card, allowing you to search out a Pokemon from your deck and evolve it and use it to evolve one of your Pokemon in play. So it could be a really strong base here. Looking around to see if there's anything else you might go for here. I would think maybe the Evo Soda here, but I could definitely see Holland Adventurer. I don't know how I feel about energy removal. He's going to go for the Vaporeon. Okay, so the Vaporeon with Muddy Water, a really strong water type. It has extra, I think it also has extra healing powers with it too. Using the Evolving Aqua, you can do 40 damage, and then if you evolve from this, you do 60. So it actually has a lot of utility there. I was thinking he was going to go for the Evo Soda, but I do like the Vaporeon here. Davi, what are your thoughts on the pick?
This is super interesting, actually, because I didn't think that Zach would go for this Vaporeon. As you said, either Adventure and Evo Soda are the correct picks for if you want to stay open. Zach saw the Evolving Thunder Jolteon on the last pack. But going for the Vaporeon here might mean that he really wants to play an Evolutions deck. And he did go... he finished as a 4th place using Rainbow Lutions. I don't remember his deck exactly, but he played Evolution, so I think he knows the power of this card better than us, as he has played with it, I'm pretty sure. This Vaporeon is pretty good. It's so much pressure on the bench. 60 damage on the bench is so high on this power level. Of course, you can use a lot, right, because of the evolution kind of rule there. We see this new pack. This Sceptile is really good. It's a really, really good attacker. But there are also a lot of other pretty decent cards. A Paw Pad it's a card where you have an N. Like, I think a Paw Pad here would be very, very good. But Bridget's also pretty decent for any deck. Mutant Drink is a card that is not that bad. Because you can use it on your normal cards. Like if you have a Grovyle Delta, you can evolve into like your Sceptile Delta, right? So sometimes it just works as a normal Evo Soda. Bridget's also decent. He already has Mentor, so Bridget's kind of a lower priority here. What do you think?
So I could definitely see the Pal Pad here, or also maybe even, he's just going to go for the Sceptile. Sceptile's a very strong line topper. This is kind of how you play out some of your early drafts, is that you're not super committed into any line yet, but you see something like Sceptile come through, especially towards the mid of the first pack, that's a good early indicator that maybe you'll be able to snatch up some free Sceptiles. It also allows him to maybe pick up that Sceptile EX if it comes through, as well as maybe some other pieces. The Vaporeon pick, I'm still thinking about. I do really like the Vaporeon pick. I think there was a version of this Vaporeon, a more recent version, that had a similar attack that was actually removed from this cube because of its just sheer power. And this is kind of like a, not for lack of a better word, watered down version of that one. But the evolving Aqua is a really strong attack too, especially comboed after the Muddy Water. So I think it's just a really good card. The Sceptile, like you said, also very strong card. Allows the Sceptile archetype to really explode here. Now we have this new pack here. We do see a Leafeon. If you're still feeling the grass line, the Celios Network also isn't terrible. It's a really good search supporter card, especially if you're dealing with, if you have a lot of setup Pokemon you need to find. So we can see quite a few different things here. We also have the Mutant Gene. I don't think he's thinking too much Delta yet, but we could see. Davi, any thoughts on this pack? I'm torn between maybe the Leafeon or the Celios Network or the Chimecho. The Chimecho also with the Delta support is quite good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can. Going for the Chimecho here would be interesting because going early means you can go harder on those Holland pieces, the Holland Transceivers, the Holland Supporters. And then you have energy every turn, basically. You can just discard an energy and get it back. It's not that strong, even then. Like, even it looks really good. It's just kind of okay. Celios Network would be really good to, like, he has either, I'm not gonna say that he is either on Eevees or Sceptile, but something like that. He goes for the Leafeon. Leafeon is interesting because he's either on Eevees or on Sceptile with this current draft, and that card is both. It's either Grass or Eevees. So, oh, this is a super strong pack actually. There's a late Transceiver and a late Mew Delta. That card is super good, and he goes instantly for the Vaporeon.
So I really do like this. The reason why is if Zach ends up finding himself into some sort of Sceptile deck, the Vaporeon covers his weakness to fire very strongly here. And the only being like a water and colorless attack means you can synergize Grass Energy in that kind of deck really early. So that if that's the kind of strategy maybe he's thinking about right now, could definitely see it coming together and being a very strong deck.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't think about the weakness angle there. It makes a lot of sense, right? This Vaporeon is just decent at attacking. If you can get any damage counter into like a Typhlosion or maybe, I guess Ladia ZX doesn't have weakness to water, but any like just general fire attacker with any damage counter would just get knocked out by Evolving Aqua from weakness, so it's pretty good. It's a pretty good card in this deck. Sceptile doesn't have a lot of way to spread damage, so he has to find like a secondary way to put the damage counters, maybe with the Muddy Water, which is kind of a watered down version of Jet Punch.
Mm-hmm.
We all remember Dark Explorers, I think, Vaporeon in this cube being the face of Broken Box. That card was insane. And this Vaporeon gets the job done. It's not insane. I think it's just the correct power level for this cube.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, the rest of the pack is still pretty good. This Mew Delta is super underrated. It just copies whatever your opponent has. This one, like a Delta deck, is absolutely crazy. You can, if you're going against like a Gardevoir EX, you can just bonk them right back. Against something like Kingdra, okay, here's your, what's the name of the chat? Dragon Pump back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this Mew is very good. It's not for Zach's draft pool. It's not really good in here. We see the first pack coming back. So some very important signals. One Mutant Zone was picked, and the Sceptile Delta was picked.
As well as the Gardevoir.
So, oh yeah, the Gardevoir was also picked. It's interesting to me that Gardevoir was. No, it's not. I think Gardevoir is a pretty decent card in this, just a decent attacker generally, and the mutant cards are still there. Not for his deck though. Rare Candy is also there. He does have a Sceptile in his pool. The rest of the pack is kind of Epicorn Maker is fine, right? It's not. It's kind of a lower priority supporter. I usually don't go for these on the beginning of the draft. Even getting something like a Jolteon Star here would get you a little bit more open for what comes in the future. Yeah, what do you think he goes for here?
Yeah, it's a hard decision between, like, a lot of these cards are very okay. The Mutant Drink is the card we're going to see here. That's one of the special custom cards in this cube. It basically allows you to choose one of your non-EX Delta Pokemon in play, search your deck for a Delta Pokemon of the next stage, and put it on that Pokemon, and then you may shuffle your deck. It's basically Evo Soda, but straight up for Deltas. This is where we saw like stuff like the Milotic, was coming into play that Davi mentioned before. That there's no Feebas in the cube, but you can cheat them out with these sorts of attacks. But you also can use it for you have like a Delta Pokemon you want to evolve like a Delta Sceptile, for example. It can also have some sort of synergies like that. So hopefully a good pickup. Kind of stays towards the middle and the neutral zone. This next pack again kind of lackluster here. Um, it's UC Celebi with the new Celebi with the Whirlpool Woodland Stroll allows you to basically search an energy from the top. Not the strongest card in the cube. Perhaps very okay. Blue Static also very okay. And we are gonna see the Holland's Researcher. I think also kind of just feeding into that Holland's engine. I don't know if it'll end up in his deck, but you never know. So Davi, any other thoughts here? I think this pack was kind of a lot of nutting for Zach here.
Yeah, going for something like a super scoop up kind of sucks here, to be fair. The Celebi is also, I guess it's better on certain decks, like an EV deck with a lot of different energy may want that, or like a fighting deck with too strong energy maybe wants the Celebi, but not really this EV deck or the Subtile deck, whatever this is. Researcher is a card that maybe you play one in your deck, just because you can like search out one very strong line topper. Or even one evolution piece, and even one metal energy. You can tech one metal energy and have it searchable via Holland Researcher.
It does a great search the EV, which is nice.
True, yeah. Everybody has 2 EVs, so yeah, it does search the Delta EVs. And it's kind of a low priority card. I think it's perfect to draft in like a weaker pack like that you don't really care about the other cards, so you just go for this and forget about that. You're like, okay, I have that, now I need like the adventurers and the scientists, not the researcher. I have that.
So we're going to see a Tool Scraper here. Tool Scraper, obviously, people are familiar with if you've played in any format. Allows you to just discard 2 tools from your opponent's side. Useful for stuff like Cessation Crystal, especially if your deck's very ability reliant. And the thing with tool removal is that it's sometimes a really hard pick if you know you're vulnerable to it. And it's up against some good cards. It tends to go undrafted. But in situations like these, where no card in this pack is particularly important in the respect that it's deck defining, Tool Scrapper a good pickup here just to secure the ability just in some insurance. You can do a Cessation Crystal, of which there are 3 Cessation Crystals in this cube, so it is a reasonable thing to have to play around, especially if you get into one of those ability reliant decks. I mean, no one likes to be admin low and then they drop a Cessation Crystal and then your draw Pokemon are rendered useless. Cessation Crystal obviously preventing Pokepowers, Pokebodies from working on both sides, so very strong card. Definitely something you want to think about. Gabby, any other thoughts? I struggle to think of any other useful applications for Tool Scrapper. I mean, I'm sure they exist. I'm sure the mutant genes or the weakness policies are also probably good picks for it too. But I figured he probably could have taken that or the EV, but I don't know if he necessarily needs EVs at this point.
No, I think not playing this cube without 2 removal is kind of crazy. I'm actually impressed that 2 Scrapper went this far into the... I guess 2 Scrapper is not as good as something like a Field Blower or a Windstorm would be. But even then, like playing this cube without 2 removal, it's crazy. I would never do that. It's not because of really strong tools. I guess the really strong one here is Cessation Crystal, but like some annoying ones like Focus Band or even EXP Share. Maybe your opponent has his next turn prepared with like an EXP Share on the bench or like a Karate Belt on the bench, being able to attack with like 1 less energy than they wanted to, and then you have this and it just kills a turn. Sometimes it will be useless. Sometimes you draw this in like your top deck and cry. But even then, I would not play this cube without 2 removal. And it's the same thing as a Researcher. It's a kind of a bad pack. No, not really a lot of good cards on the pack. You just go for the Scrapper and be happy. Now, it's one of the things on your list that you just crossed. I don't need 2 removal anymore. I have Scrapper.
Yeah, I think it gives you the opportunity to then pick other cards later in the draft. Like now you have your tool removal, so if you are in a spot where you need a tool scrapper, but also you had like another important card, or maybe like you had like a consistency card in the pack that you can now prioritize instead. So I do agree. I think this is like one of the hidden skills in Cube is navigating the bad packs or the lackluster packs over the the busted packs with like crazy amount of cards. And late Pallet Pad is very interesting, as well as a Trico. I'm not surprised about the Trico, but the Pallet Pad seems like a very standout card this pack. What are your thoughts?
I'm going for the spell pad. Like I already went for it and clicked next pack. This like spell pad is such a good card. It's such a strong card. Some of your supporters are like kind of. Sometimes you can only use like a Bugs training once, or I don't even know, like a Ace trainer once, and like those are fine. And then you get a paw pad, and you get to use that twice. There's a few turns in Cube where like your opponent paw pads for Marnie or N or admin or twins, and you're like, oh no, oh my god, I have to do that again, and it's just super annoying. I guess Zach has something to do IRL because I would have just slammed that paw pad. It's such a strong card, and this is the new version, which it's a little bit different than the old one. You shuffle up to 2 supporters. You don't need to shuffle 2. There were um, some times that in Cube that I had like 2 supporters in my discard, like a Bridget and an N. I don't want to shuffle the Bridget because it's not useful for me anymore after the early game, but I really want to shuffle the N. And with the old one, you need to shuffle 2. With the new one, you can shuffle 1 if you want to, so that's really good for just game. It's just a better game piece like this, and he has the end already. It's just like such a good card to play with ball pad.
Very
And
interesting position he's in right now. So we know the Sceptile did not come back, and he has one Sceptile in his draft. The Cynical is there, and he's also saw another Cynical come through early as well. So this might be a good pivoting point for Zach. He also might just be holding out hope that maybe the Sceptile deck's going in like a Delta variant box, that maybe the other Sceptiles are remaining open. So it's kind of an interesting divide here. I actually was thinking of Cynical myself, just because on the fact that the other Cynical was in the previous pack, that while this isn't a good indicator that the line's open, it does enable him to maybe pick up some more fire attackers all along the way and pivot out of the Sceptile line if in fact it's not open, because we haven't exactly seen if any Typhlosions are being taken at this point. But if both Cynicals are going through late in that pack, you might as well just pick up the basics now. I think he might be thinking less about Sceptile at this point, knowing that the other Sceptile EX got taken. And that's something you want to watch out for. It's an important signal to be looking for, is make sure your line is not contested. If someone else is very into your line as well, you are only going to be able to get so many cards from that line without it being drafted by another person. So what frequently happens is lines tend not to come together because, let's just say Sceptile gets split down the middle, but someone has Energy Trans, so their Sceptile deck's a lot better. You're kind of left out there with just the scraps of it. That could be a very bad situation to be in, especially in this tournament where you only get one shot to draft your deck. So it's something you definitely are having to think about constantly, and I'm sure Zach's a little bit spooked about the Sceptile being gone. Davi, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, the Cynical there, it's interesting. I'd go for Trico just to pad out your maybe line, but we see that he deselected the Sceptile. Maybe he really was banking on wheeling Sceptile Delta EX from Crystal Guardians. With that not wheeling, he was just like, nah, this is not gonna happen. Maybe in the future. So he just not abandons the line. You never really abandon the line, but just puts his feet on other lines. He goes for a Cyndaquil and a Vibrava, and now the Jolteon Star. Jolteon Star is just like a fine card, a decent card, better than Energy Switch in like most decks. And we'll see how Pack 2 goes for Zach. I think Pack 1 went pretty well. He has 2 Vaporeon, which are pretty decent. A Leafeon. All of these cards are pretty playable, and any evolution deck. Maybe if he opens like Umbreon Prime or the Majestic Dawn Espeon that buffs your evolutions, maybe he goes for that line. He also has a multi-energy that's pretty good in EV decks. And like his consistency line is great. Trader, Mentor, and Paw Pad. The 2 Scrapper, which every deck wants one. That's pretty good. Like that's I would not be sad with this first pack.
Exactly. Yeah, I really did appreciate the way he drafted this first one. You can tell he's still open. Like he's not really deep into a certain line, but he has the foundation still of a good draft. Like he's got, some draw supporter. I'm sure he's gonna be looking for more, obviously, but he's definitely got a good start out there. I don't think he's in too bad of a spot where he's pigeonholed himself into maybe one archetype. Like he's still fairly open. So let's see what this next pack brings in. Oh my gosh, what a great pack!
God.
Alolan Vulpix, Shaman EX. There's that Sunnyvale Espeon we were talking about. Another Mentor, a VS Seeker. Wow, this is such a great pack. Man, what do you even pick here? I'm leaning towards that Alolan Vulpix just for the setup potential, but man, you could really sway me into taking a Shaman here.
Mm, this is so hard because like it's so many cards are good here. Like the Versus Seeker is so good because you have N. The Shaman EX is so good because you want to be playing like with this draft. He kind of wants to be playing EVs, and I think there are two Shaman EX in the cube, so that's a very rare chance of getting one of them. The Espion is not EX. The normal Espion here is super good as well. It's just gonna buff your team, and this is a good conundrum to have actually because he's kind of going to go a little bit farther in. Do I go EVs or do I go stage 2? Because if he goes stage 2, I think the pick is a Alolan Vulpix. But if he goes EVs, the pick is not a Alolan Vulpix. Alolan Vulpix is not great in EVs. And he goes Versus Seeker. I think for the same reason that I am so high in N, he is also high in N. And using N 3 times with Pulpad and Versus Seeker seems like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I have to say I like this. He's got a lot of recursion for VS Seeker. With now the Palpad, he's got the for N. He's got Palpad and VS Seeker. VS Seeker being obviously just a better Palpad in this sense. It honestly, I agree. It definitely allows him to reuse N. Allows him to be able to, if he finds other supporters as well, he can combo his deck and other things. And I do like the Shaman and the Vulpix, but I think the games are definitely decided a lot more by hand disruption, and it gives you at least an extra edge here. And we always saw that one VS Seeker went away, so it's unlikely you're gonna get two of them. But man, those are some hard cards to pass up. I'm sure the next person to get this pack is gonna be very happy.
Yeah, there are two Versus Seeker in the cube, so they're gone. Pod 2 has all the Versus Seeker gone, and Zach has one. I think I'd be pretty happy with this. Like, we see how strong a card like N is. It changed so many of his picks based on one supporter card. And if he gets like a second N or a Rockets admin, like there is only one N and one Rockets admin. If he gets that admin, I think I would cry with joy.
Oh, I didn't realize there was only one copy of each in the cube. That
Yep.
that changes a lot. This is where like cube counts really do matter. Trying to look at like what is actually in the cube. So he has access to the only N in the cube. I mean, there is an admin, of course. But with the added addition of VS Seeker, he has more outs to N than a normal deck would, having Palpad and VS Seeker. So very strong, especially in this early part of the draft.
Yeah. One of the sad things here is that the Espion is going. He has a decent EV core, and there is a second Espion, but when this Espion goes, you know that someone is getting that and kind of forcing EVs. That's a very strong signal to have. I don't know if Zach keeps on EVs right now. I don't know exactly what he would be thinking. Maybe like when you see Umbreon Prime, of course you go for EVs right after that. But passing that Espion kind of hurts, but we'll have to see how he manages that. And the second pack is a bit weaker than the first one. Still pretty good.
Could you imagine if it was the same?
Oh yeah, like yeah, that with that power level, I think that's not gonna happen. So
this is an interesting one. We do see the level ball. It's a very strong consistency card. A Typhlosion in this pack. We know he took a Cynical earlier, so this would be an opportunity to get in there. A Holland Farmer, really good for padding out that Holland engine, as well as the Adventurer for the same reasons. I guess we also see everything else is kind of like so-so. I mean, the Silent Lab's very okay.
I'd say Rescue is pretty good.
Rescue
is it's decent.
Yeah,
not bad.
Yeah, I'd say Rescue is fine here. I would probably lean towards the level ball just because of its consistency search. And it can hit multiple stage 1s and basic targets. So we are going to see the Typhlosion here. I think this is kind of the direction Zach was looking for. The Burning Aura Typhlosion. Not to mention that now he knows the Sceptile line is off the table. It's really easy if he can get the Typhlosion here. And honestly, early, if the Koalava does not come back from this pack, that's some good information. Obviously, you can't base your whole draft on that one Koalava, but this is a good way to test the waters, but also maybe securing a line topper at the same time.
Yeah, this Typhlosion is really, really good in this cube. If you can, in a two-shot war, this card knocks out two Pokemon because it rages, like gets something with damage knocked out. Then you get the damage on yourself from whatever your opponent is attacking. Then you one-shot back because rage is such a strong attack. The lower the power, the better this Typhlosion is. And this is like a low mid power where like Kingdra is the best attacker. So King is the best attacker. So I think this Typhlosion is so good. It's such a good attacker. And it has like a kind of, oh my god, help me button on the flickering flames. You can try to go for a 30 sleep with a 30 with the burning hour, of course. Also, I think that that's a pretty good way to like test the water, see how the line goes. The rest of the pack is like, it's fine. The level ball here it's good. The rescue here is good, but he already has some of these other cards. Like he has the trader for Pokemon search. I think staying open only gets you like as far as decent goes. Sometimes you just kind of have to force or get some line toppers and see what happens. This pack is really good.
This
Look
pack
at this.
is very nice with the Scientist and Adventurer for the Holland Energy, the Holland Transceiver, really good. You're seeing the reversals here, a very strong power card. It's just a Pokemon catcher for coin flip. I do want to go back to the Typhlosion pick. I do think this is a really good pick for Zach because I think this is the point in the draft where you're usually thinking about, okay, when do I take a Lion's Hopper? Like, when is the right time? I think that was the right time to take one because eventually, sooner rather than later, he's going to need to know if what lines are open and what options he really has. And the Typhlosion's such a good card. I think if you let it go through, it would not come back, or it would lead someone else to maybe go into Typhlosion as well. So I think this was a good time to take that stage 2. It will hopefully cement him into that line a little bit more. The Qualavas definitely would wheel here. And it gives him the option now to go into Typhlosion safely. I just think it's such a strong pick at this point in the draft. I think if he would have waited a little bit more, been a little bit more hesitant on him, it might have backfired. But I think this was a good opportunity because if the Qualavas don't come back or something else happens, or maybe he finds he's still in a spot where he could pivot out of Typhlosion. He's not like in the line committed, but if he does want to go into that line, I feel like it's going to be a lot safer to make that decision after this round of packs comes back to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For this current pack here, I'm actually interested to know why he went for this reversal. So, coin flip cards. Reversal is a power card. It will win you a game and will lose you another. So, he has here Teammates and Twins to choose from with Versus Seeker and Paw Pad. Teammates is one of the best cards in this cube in general. Just to keep in the 2-shot war or maybe the 1-shot war depending on your deck. With the Versus Seeker, I'd go straight for this Teammates, and my deck is just so much stronger generally with that. He goes for the Reversal. I think it's a fine card, but it's probably even wheelable. Look at the quality of this pack. Like Viridian Forest, Twins, Teammates, Holland Transceiver, Holland Scientist. I think the Reversal wheels on that pack.
I think the thing with this pack though is that maybe he's looking at taking the Quilava if it comes back, but I the Reversal is interesting though. I'm interested to see what the thought process would be. I think it is. I mean, like maybe he's valuing the Gust. Like the Gust in this cube's probably very strong here. So maybe he's thinking, okay, well, I'll win more games by just being able to go Reversal than I will with any of the other cards in this pack. We also see another Typhlosion pickup here. That's a really good sign for Zach. Of course, Typhlosion not being the most insane direction yet, but any Typhlosion is still really good. Especially the shady move Typhlosion is adds a little bit extra depth to the deck. Up against cards like there's that Delta Espeon in here. We do see another EV, probably not too high of a pick, the Executor with Delta Circle. So there's a lot of Delta actually in this pack. Kind of alarmed by that actually looking at it if I was drafting this. Typhlosion Delta though, definitely good for Zach. Cell 2 Quilava's already passed through, so this might be able to help him pad out a Typhlosion line that he's starting here. Davi, any thoughts on this pack?
Yeah, I think I go for the Typhlosion every time here. Not even because this Typhlosion I think is kind of the worst one in the line, but just to take it out of the pool. And so nobody wants to go for Typhlosion anymore because nobody will see that card. It's pretty decent on the deck. It had some weird weaknesses, like the Gardevoir matchup gets a bit better for you. And like an EV matchup where maybe your opponent has to attack with Evolution Memories, Espion Prime, and this is just one shot that right back. So it's a decent card. Sometimes in the 2-shot war, it's just okay. The burn can be also quite annoying for like attackers that have Poké Powers, like let's say a Sceptile with Energy Trance. Sure, you'd probably want to attack with a fire Pokemon there, but burning can be pretty annoying in this cube where it shuts off like Poké Powers. Something like a Flygon Delta also pretty annoying to deal with. And the rest of the pack is not great. I think it's fine to go for that. This pack, however, what is this? This is pick 5.
A late Juniper. That's insane. And Roseanne's as well. Crobat G. There's so many good cards in this pack. I have to imagine this pack was probably insane to start with.
Latios EX is also one of the best cards in the cube, generally, because this can evolve with the correct card. I think with Mutant Drink and Juniper and Lucamine being this late in the pack and Rosie's. What happened with this pack?
I don't know, but Zach is pretty happy to pick himself up a Juniper here. He was looking for more consistency anyway, so when it rains, it pours. Here we go. A nice Juniper here. Juniper, obviously, I don't think people need to really think about how good discard draw 7 is. It's just a great deck thinning option. Really strong supporter. That means he has an N and a Juniper now and a Mentor in his pool. Like, what is this supporter line that he's finding?
Yeah, you can't be sad with this, right?
No.
The supporter line is so good.
And BS Seeker as well. Very nice.
And Power Pad, yeah. The late game of the deck is crazy. Having N and Juniper, you can have like your combo turn where you need to like hit a lot of things and you just Juniper for them, and you can do like the annoying turn of N late game to like a Typhlosion knockout or something like that. Kind of sucks to pass like so many good cards in this cube. Crobat goes into any deck, in my opinion. Rosie's goes in any deck, in my opinion. But Juniper is just power.
Yeah, Juniper's like a 4 of in any deck right now. So.
Sure.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I wonder what was in this pack before. Perhaps maybe a lot of line toppers. Perhaps maybe some other busted cards. And there is a third Typhlosion for Zach.
Oh my god!
You could not have asked for a better 2 packs back to back. That means Zach has 3 Typhlosions. So unless someone wants to hang out with 1 Typhlosion remaining, Zach's pretty much in this line. This is where you want to be, honestly, early into the pack. I'm sorry, there are 5 Typhlosions in this cube, so there's still 2 more remaining. One more. There's 1 Prime. And then I believe 1 more Burning Aura.
Yeah, the second one, it's a promo, but it does the same thing as the Unseen Forces one. It's kind of annoying because the Prime is kind of your best card in a sense, but you didn't see it yet. I'd be a bit scared, but I'm on Typhlosion anyway. Like, I'm playing Typhlosion with this draft for sure. And he knows that there's an Infernape E4 coming. Wheeling probably, because I don't think anyone would get that Typhlosion, that Infernape, I mean. Ladia ZX also pretty good. Do you remember if Mew Delta was in the latest pack or?
Mew Delta, I thought came around last pack.
Yeah, I think that's done. That's fine. Like in this cube is not that strong. There's not many like cast farms and like throws and
I think he really wants to see something like Rayquaza EX or Ladia CX.
Oh yeah. Ladia EX is probably the best attacker on this deck. Just 3 for 90 if you get a knockout. You discard 2. Just a decent card overall. You can accelerate on the early turns where you like can't attack or your attack is kind of You can accelerate to it, so you can put a lot of pressure in the early game. Rayquaza EX from EX Dragon, that's Dragon Burst, and he has a multi-energy already. Oh my god, he really wants to see that card.
Yeah, and definitely a good thing to bring up too. It does not have the Prime yet, and so this is where you have to be a little bit cautious too. Like, it's really easy to just all right, pack it up. I have my Typhlosion, so I'm gonna check out for the rest of this draft. Like, he still has to navigate this draft and make sure that his deck is still coming together. Of course, he's still missing a lot of basics, but he can't just pack it up yet and say that he's got it made. So he's gonna have to draft kind of cautiously still, and making sure that like he doesn't see the Prime after a certain point. He'll make sure that maybe he has a little bit other options. So his picks still matter a lot here. So we might see him make some picks to maybe keep him open here. The Bucks trainings in this pack, as well as the Tyranitar with Payback. I think one of the most underrated Tyranitars in my opinion. Wondrous Labyrinth, kind of an interesting card, so an interesting stall card. Dobby, this pack's really weird. What do you think you would be going for here?
I don't know actually. This pack is really strange. You can go for a hate pick Tyranitar and kind of start getting your feet on the line. You can get like a middling supporter. Bucks training is not the greatest one. Janine is also like, but sometimes you just have to pat out your 11th or your 12th supporter. It's just kind of a bad one, but you need to have like supporters in numbers. Maybe you just need to hit like 1 energy or like 1 very specific Pokemon in the late game, or like your 2 Scrapper in the correct turn. So he goes for counter energy. I like this because his attackers right now there are no EXs on his attackers. He has Fire Starter from Sears Treasures, Typhlosion Delta from Drawing Frontiers, and Typhlosion from Missing Forces. He can kind of like attack out of nowhere with Firestarter plus Counter Energy. He can like Rage out of nowhere. So I think it's not great, right? It's like it's okay. Counter Energy in this cube it's fine. It's not a high power card, but I'm not sad with that pick. And we see the first pack coming back. Sonia's still here. Sonia's a pretty good card. I'm actually interested that's still here. Air Balloon is probably one of the best cards. He has Firestarter in his pool, so he to have like a pivot option. Inga Nemeth kind of the Rainbow Energy would also be pretty good in this deck, but I'll be happy with this Air Balloon.
I think the air balloon provides really good mobility, especially because it has no other claws on it. It just reduces 2 archery costs, so you can put it on EXs if you want to. Allows him to maybe get into like a setup mod too, just like pop it on there, and then he's got free retreat for the rest of the game. Yeah, I think air balloon's nice here. I mean, I could definitely take maybe taking the Sonya. I mean, Sonya's not an outstanding supporter. It's decent. Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad supporter, but air balloon I think offers that a little bit of retreat utility. He hasn't taken anything like switch yet, so this is kind of like the Tool Scrapper where it does offer him the option now that he has the mobility in his deck. Now he doesn't have to force a switch later on necessarily.
Yeah, no, I like this Air Balloon here. Kind of, I don't know if I pick it over Sonya, maybe. Like this is a pack where I sit and think about it for a long time. The Sonya is just like a decent card in your deck. Is like a worse Rosie's, but Rosie's is really good. So having a worse version is still pretty decent.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to hit like the right energy. Maybe he plays like one electric or one psychic energy to attack with some of his tech attackers. And the Sonya just gets that and helps your deck go the distance. Air Balloon, not sad about that for sure. Rest of the pack is like Scramble Energy is a better version of Counter Energy, but like you just got the Counter Energy. You can't get Scramble here. Like you never play the 2 on your deck. You need basic fire, a lot of basic fire. And Air Balloon just plays well in any deck since he's like I say 80-70% on Typhlosion, but this is the kind of maybe not Typhlosion pick, which even we will play this card in Typhlosion, so this is surely a good pick. Nothing sad to see there. I think the Cyndaquil kind of sucks, but not really.
And we see the Kulava and the Infernape in the same pack here. Kind of a toss up here. Do you think he's gonna go for the Infernape right away, or because he needs basic attackers, or do you think maybe he's gonna try to? He doesn't think the Kulava will wheel, so I don't know.
I don't think the Quilava. It's kind of a toss-up that Quilava wheels or not, because I think one. Yeah, we'll see the spec in 1, right, or 1 or 2. So like maybe a Grovyle Quilava wheel or like Pupitar Grovyle. I don't know. I think I'd go for Infernape here. It'd be pretty okay with Infernape. Pokemon Rescue. It's good. It's pretty good. Like it's just slightly weaker version of Stretcher and Retrieval. If you have a really good attacker, like you can just use it twice with this rescue. It's never a bad thing. Even something like a Jolteon Star, like when you get like paralleled or you leave it to get knocked out and use it again. Don't dislike the rescue. Maybe I'd like a little bit better than Fernape. I think he doesn't really mind Split Bomb.
I feel like if he had a recovery card in his draft pool, he might be more inclined to take the Infernape. I kind of see this as like insurance that I won't get to the end of the draft without a recovery card, because I mean that could happen. And I mean, like obviously could be a situation where Typhlosion doesn't pan out and then he has to switch out and then the Fernape was useless. I mean, there's a high odds the Fernape would be a great card, but I think the Rescue Energy, at least Pokemon Rescue, at least ensures that he has recovery in his draft pool, and he's safe in that, so he can take silence on that. And obviously, we'll want more recovery than just Rescue, but obviously having something of recovery is better than nothing. So maybe that's an opportunity to take that here, kind of like Tool Scrapper situation that we saw before.
Yep.
Now this pick should be very interesting. If he goes for the Kulava, he's definitely thinking of Typhlosion. If he doesn't go for the Kulava, he might be moving off the line. Or just not really worried about securing stage 1. So we see a Weakness Policy here. A Weakness Policy, very strong card. Tends to be extremely underrated, especially in a cube where like you need to prevent weakness as much as you can to not get just decimated by the other type. And granted, you can build your deck around those kind of things, like adding ulterior types. But Weakness Policy, good insurance that you can deal with a lot of other types here. So maybe he's just valuing just generally good cards at this point, and he's like, well, I have 3 Typhlosions, so it could just be a line that he's like, I want to maybe find a different line, but I have this line here if I need to, and I'm not really too worried about finding the cards for it because no one else is on top of it.
Yeah, and something very very safe to say in this cube is there are 3 pods, so there are 3 Kingdra LA in each pod, and if a person has 1 Kingdra LA, that person's probably playing Kingdra, and so there are 3 Kingdra decks in this tournament, maybe more. Who knows? Like maybe someone makes it like a genetic memory crazy deck. But I'm pretty sure there will be 3 Kingdom decks, and if you're playing Typhlosion, you need to play Weakness Policy and Weakness Guard. So that's super important for you to do, because you need to take out the auto losses and make them like maybe a 60-40 for your opponent, but not an auto loss. You don't want 3 auto losses. I'm pretty sure there will be 3 Kingdom decks, and this is fine. There are other good picks on that pack, but if you don't want to lose a random Swiss round like Kingdra, you just go for policy and like be sad that you passed Viridian Forest and Kolava there.
So I like what Zach is doing here. I think he's also just making sure that like no one is even considering Typhlosion because of that prime importance here. Like if that Kulava comes back in like the last 2 cards the 2 packs ago that we saw, boom, great signal. That line is open like a wide door. But if it doesn't come back, someone has to have some inclination to take that card, right? Whether it means they have the prime in the draft pool, maybe they have some sort of intentions behind it. The other 2 stage ones in that pack, the Pupitar and the Grovyle, had way more direction with them. So I like this. Not, he's not giving it up yet. He's not committing just yet to the Typhlosion line. Granted, he has like 3 Typhlosions, and I feel like this is a situation we see a lot of people, fall into where, okay, I have 3 Typhlosions, that's my line. I'm taking all of the Kulavas, like I'm done. I got what I need. And that weakness policy pick was really good because excellent point you brought up there. Kingdra decks are going to be everywhere. Kingdra's a very strong, Kingdra LA specifically, very strong card. And Typhlosion decks are just going to fold to the Kingdra LA. It's so much pressure without any sort of weakness mitigation. And that's what really separates a player like Zach from like your average Q player. Is that like an average Q player is just going to take Kulavas, just trying to build a consistency deck. Zach, I feel like, is playing like 4D chess here, thinking ahead, thinking of the matchups he's going to hit if he goes into Typhlosion, really evaluating the risk there. And he's like, okay, I'll take weakness policy because in the worst case, the Kulava doesn't come back. And, I'm less concerned about staying on that line. He's still got plenty of other options. It's still, 69 picks. Can still find other cards. But if it does come back, well, now he's got a weakness policy, a weakness guard, 3 Typhlosions, and now the Kulavas are coming back. So the line is a great signal for being open. So if you look at how, thinking like 4 or 5 turns ahead, how the plays are going to come out here, Zach's really setting himself up in a great spot to either confidently go into that Typhlosion line with uncontested and have all the tools he needs to take on his worst matchups, or maybe he pivots out of the line, finds a different avenue to go down. He's still got plenty of time, plenty of options. So really just have to admire the skill here in drafting that we're seeing on screen.
Yeah, that's why we picked Zach as our featured drafter. We knew we'd see a good draft from him. Not sad to see that pick at all. The weakness policy pick is one that people would be like, that's weird, pass, and like next. And this one has a lot of thought into it. We see here the end of the pack is kind of middling, like considering Lena's Fishing Rod and Acrobike is it's those are some cards that will probably get cut from your deck. I suppose. I don't know if he really values the Acrobike. I wouldn't personally, but the end of the pack is where you like take a look at your draft pool. You see some weird things like I have 2 Vibrava, so I can go for a Flagon, kind of not sad at all. I do have a few Vaporeons left to kind of pat my deck if I need the deck. And this Typhlosions are pretty good. One Cyndaquil is that Cyndaquil pick way early was really good for him to like realize that none of the Typhlosions were probably open. Wow, Tyranitar here just not getting picked at all. People in the spot don't like Tyranitar.
Although he is picking up a pretty nice recovery card if he ends up needing it. The Dialga does have a really great ability. Granted, it's not like as good as something like a Super Rod would be, but the reverse time allows him to search his discard pile for up to 3 combinations of Pokemon and energy cards and put them on top of his deck in any order. So if he does end up in a situation where he does not find a Rescue Search or a Super Rod, he can just bench Dialga with reverse time and then end up just having the reshuffle or having to recover that way. So it's a little bit more recovery insurance. The Tyranitar is definitely interesting. Like I said, I think that card is extremely underrated for what it can do, especially for like a 1EX. And important to note that the Kulava did not wheel here.
But I think that's just by chance. Like someone looked at
Mhm.
Poop Tire and Collab and just said like, I like this art.
Yeah, I mean, people are definitely not on Tyranitar. People do not want to talk about Tyranitar in this cube. They are passing it at any given chance. So yeah, perhaps a little less surprising here. He only really needs like a couple of them to function. But it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this draft plays out. 65 picks here. I mean, he's not definitely like, I mean, Typhlosion's still definitely on the table here with 3 Typhlosions in the draft pool. He only really needs is a few Kolavas for it to come together. And we've seen, how many Kolavas have we seen though? We've seen 2, 3.
I didn't count, but I'm gonna say
We've seen at least 2.
Yeah, at least 2, maybe 3. But yeah, that's kind of the point where you start to get a little bit worried, and maybe you go for the Kolavas a bit higher in the future just because you need them. You do have 3 Typhlosions, so you want like 3 Kolava at least, and no rare candy on the draft.
Yeah,
there are 6 rare candy on this cube. One of them we already seen it. He has no ace spec, I think, so he also can play Mutant Candy. Not great in his deck because it gets like Typhlosion Delta. It's from the deck, but it's not really a card that you want to get. Let's see what pack 3 here
coming
gives
in
him.
hot. Oh wow,
Oh.
Master Ball, Computer Search, Sycamore. So many good cards in this pack. I feel like it has to be Computer Search, right? Computer Search is like one of the best cards in the cube.
Yeah, like I don't see Mentor, Pont, and Sycamore being better than Computer Search here. I simply don't. Like sometimes you just need to guarantee the weakness policy. Sometimes you just need to guarantee you take out like a Cessation Crystal. So Computer Search is that help me button. Like it's oh my god, please. Sometimes you probably will see him going Computer Search for Pokemon Reversal on some crazy turns. Yeah, I think it's you don't even think about here. I think the only ace spec on this cube that's better than Computer Search is Dowsing Machine.
Yes, I do agree. I love Dowsing Machine. It is such a good, especially in cube when your resources matter like 10 times more than they do in constructed or into like standard and stuff. Like you're being able to recycle your VS Seeker for N, or actually just being able to grab N off a Dowsing Machine, or being able to recycle like any sort of recovery card. It ends up mattering a lot more than it would just to search. But definitely a good pickup here. Looking at the next pack here, we see Misty's Wrath, Double Gust, Energy Chance, Sceptile. Wow, what a tough pack for Zach here. So many good cards in here. Misty's Wrath, great discard. Great. It's just like Hapu, but it searches one more. And it's an item. And it's an item, yeah. So outstanding card. Double Gust, great card also for I mean, obviously Gust is in the name. When you see Gust, you gotta look at it. It just allows you to basically switch Pokemon with their bench. And he has the Air Balloon, so it combos well. And then the Energy Chance Sceptile is very nice here. Although I don't think he's on Sceptile as much. Granted, because the other Sceptiles have not been coming through back. Or the other Tricos and stuff. The Misty's Wrath, though, what a great consistency engine. Zach's consistency engine at the start here is going to be very strong. I think whatever deck he's building should be able to set up.
Yeah, if you watched the last episode of P3, you know that Connor has very strong opinions about Misty's Wrath. I'd go Misty's Wrath here for sure. Like Double Gust, there are turns where Double Gust is useless in your deck, and there are no turns where Misty's Wrath is useless. I guess like on the late turns where you have like 8 cards in deck, maybe that's it's not great. But it makes your deck so strong.
Misty Wrath's one of those cards too that, like, I mean, early on you can use it to thin your deck and search out for cards. But late game, when your deck's thinned out and you just need like one card out of your deck to win the game, like Misty Wrath can just get you there, and you still have the added bonus to playing a supporter afterwards. Like that is so good. Looking at the next pack here, we see Espeon Prime, another catcher here. I guess you get 2 puzzles of time for taking the puzzle. I don't know, some interesting cards in this pack. The Espeon Prime's kind of interesting. He's going for Pokemon Catcher here.
So I knew he was going for Catcher. Yeah,
Zach valuing the strong item Gust effects here. I guess just thinking that, like, hey, as long as I can bring something up, I got 2 shots now to do it. What more do I want?
Yeah, maybe he would go for a puzzle, but like when he went straight for not retriever, reversal, I knew like this pack is good. There are decent cards in it, but he went so fast for the reversal that I knew he was going for catcher here. I don't know exactly why he values the coin flip
I
gust
feel
that
like I've
much.
seen him do this before. Um, Man, I'd be curious to ask him why. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. But I think I can't remember if last league he was playing catchers in his deck as well.
Mm, I can check maybe. Let's go check.
Because Pokemon Catcher allowing him to as an item card, I mean, it isn't the worst thing in the world. I mean, granted, it is on a coin flip, but the effect of Gust is so strong. As we were talking about the double Gust before, and like while it is on a coin flip, it could be just one of those things where I just need to hit one heads to take an unexpected knockout on like a Delcatty or a Porygon, and I can just like secure the game. So maybe he's looking at something like that, maybe for just being able to have more tempo, more power of the board. And might as well have more catcher. More catcher means more opportunities to Gus, right? So
Yeah, he was playing a catcher last league, so
I knew
what
it.
I think
I played
I
against
think
him
he
last league, and I remember getting catchered at some
oh
point. Um, but I was trying to remember that. What deck did he play last league? Was it
he
Typhlosion?
no, it was
Oh, it's EV Box.
Evolutions,
Yeah,
but it had Jirachi Amazing. So,
that's right. It was
uh,
Jirachi Amazing Rare Box. Was the
EV
comp.
Jirachi Amazing Mug. Yep,
He actually
him and
backdoored
Mike.
into that. I remember we were in the same draft pod, and he ended up. That's one thing you can do in this cube is you can, if you aren't finding the direction you need, you can actually like backdoor into some EVs depending on what you have. So the
Mm-hmm.
the evolutions tend just to obviously pair well together because they all evolve from the same basic. So that's one option you generally have if your draft just doesn't come together. You can just all right, I'm playing EVs now. It's not always the winning strat, but it can work. Look at the next pack here. We just said Jirachi Amazing Rare. Are we gonna see a repeat
Ooh.
of that pick?
No,
And
Holy
Holy
X
X
and
is the
Jirachi on
same
the same
pack.
pack. No, you hate to see it.
Maybe, maybe wheel one. That's kind of wishful thinking here, but oh man, we were just talking about it. Look, the pair that sticks together here. I feel like if he kicks Jirachi here, he's almost exactly waiting for that whole EX to wheel here. Focus Band also kind of just like an annoying card to have to deal with. But man, what would you even take from this pack? There's like so much going on.
I don't. Oh my god, this pack is so hard. Like, I don't know if Zach likes coin flips a lot. Focus Bend is
Well,
a
he takes two
option.
catchers, so I might be inclined to say he
Oh
does.
yeah, of course,
He's
of
feeling
course he
lucky today.
does. I mean, I think he played Jirachi Amazing Rare. He's not picking probably because not really great. It's a decent consistency card. The rest of the pack is kind of middling. This pack is also pretty middling. We see just a lot of basics. I think this is a turn where you go for. All right. Oh, breeder feuds. Zach plays with so many coin flip cards. I never do that. I always like ignore the breeder feuds when I see it, but he likes it.
We did just get done running a coin flip cube in the league, so maybe some of that residual coin flip energy is working its way through the draft.
Yeah, he had some decent picks here. Like the Emolga's not bad. I like this Emolga a lot. It's
Mm-hmm.
just free treater, attacks for colorless, gets you whatever you need to. The Cyndaquil will wheel, so you don't even care about that right now. And like
Mantime's
there's
kind of worse without having was it power or the T-Tar that lets you look at the top,
yeah,
the fire one.
Crush Draw.
Crush Draw, thank you. Yeah, Crush Draw T-Tar. Is it the only one? It's the only Crush Draw in this cube, right? It's that one T-Tar. There's no.
I
I don't think there's definitely no
think
wall rain. So
yeah, I think it's the only version of Crush Draw on the cube. It can be used with some stuff like a Gardevoir, like you get back an energy on the deck and use Psy Shadow. Not great, right? It's just very fine. I think there's also maybe a Seedra that looks at the top card of your deck, some crazy thing like that. Breeder Fields here is fine. Maybe Diamogo Weaver, like worst case scenario, Cynical Wheels. So this
right.
pack is great anyway. Um, a lot of evolving basics in this one. Just
But like a
one of
lot
those.
of really weird ones. Like no one's on Tyranitar right now. At least that's from my understanding. Or no one's too committed to Tyranitar to pass that one. So like the
Mm-hmm.
Larvitar's weird. I would bet someone's on Flygon as we haven't really seen that much Flygon pieces come through. Same with the Ampharos. I feel like I haven't seen that much Ampharos come through. Although I mean that's when a Jammy would come right through. There's an Ampharos EX. This
Mm.
pack's really interesting. Flareon EX, Resurade SP is also in this pack. Marley's request for a catcher maybe.
Oh, reversal catcher. Oh my God,
Yeah,
Marley's for reversal catcher is so good. It's so meme, but
but I mean,
it's
hey, flipping a ton of coins, might as well keep it going. But man, I mean, that aside, is that what do you think that's what makes it worth taking here?
um
Or would you
I
maybe
don't
take like a
hate.
Flareon EX or like an Ampharos EX or a Roserade? Maybe a
Yeah, like
Skinny or
the Marley. The Marley is so good, but it's up there with some pretty good cards. This Flareon is pretty good. Like it's a
yeah.
pretty decent tech. Like sometimes you just need like a quick attacker and some quick damage and being annoying. Like this Flareon against like let's think about like Ampharos or not the Kingdra EX Delta or Ampharos, not Ampharos, Armado.
Hmm.
Getting those big Pokemon confused is so annoying to deal with. Sometimes you're just not prepared to deal with that. Those are some fringe cases. We see Zach goes for Flareon here. I think it's just a decent tech. It's good enough. It gets the job done. Marley probably wheels. Is Sean in this? No, Odysseus is not in this pod, so probably Marley wheels. I are also not in this pod. I go for this Marley's like right now, and I think Emperor's EX is kind of not great with
Kind of
this
meh.
this kind of draft. Yeah,
Yeah.
in this draft specifically, like he does have the two Vaporeon, but I think he's not
Oh,
playing. Oh, he goes for it.
he's like, I'll show you.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Maybe he's going through the same thought process we are. It's like we're Ampharos
Yep.
EX on paper. I mean, it's a good card. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like a bad card, but like he
It's
doesn't have
decent.
anything for it, and I have not seen any Ampharos stuff really come through here. I like Flareon EX though, just because he's going to need to start taking some Pokemon at some point that is going to enable him to attack. So I think
Yeah.
Flareon EX on its own is it's kind of nice. It's not obviously the best card on its own, but like the burn, just having the burn and confusion get you a turn. Really interested to see what he takes from this pack. There's a lot of really interesting EVs. The Umbreon obviously preventing weakness and free retreat. There's also an undeveloped Flareon in this pack as well. And Zach already has a lot of fire synergies, so it could work. We also see form variation Ditto. A quick ball. I think it's still old quick ball, right? It's not like the new one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's a little bit less high on that card. I don't know. I'm like it's like a toss up between for me like the Ditto, the Flareon, and the Umbreon. I don't know. I might take the between Flareon and Umbreon. I'm not sure. What would you take?
I'm looking at this Lost Remover actually. This cube has a lot of good special energy, and we were memeing before the draft about like how everyone will play Lost Remover and you can't play Weakness Guard Energy. And it's one of those things like you play against a Saptile deck, they will look at your deck list and see the Lost Remover and just be sad.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Um, and like in general, like there are some pretty good like there are two strong energy. There are ways to get strong energy back with Kingdra EX Delta. I played the Kingdra EX Delta on the last test and it was pretty good. I got strong energies back a lot of times. Just in general, like metal energies are pretty annoying on something like an Armaldo. Hollow energy is probably not being played a lot, but I would like the Lost Remover. He goes for Aerodactyl GL. I don't hate it. I don't think he's also gonna play it, to be fair.
Yeah, interesting pickup there. The Aerodactyl obviously a free retreater with collect, so like it's not a terrible setup mon. 80
Mm-hmm.
HP is also really good, and the Primal Breath can be really annoying for some decks, especially like if there's like an EV in the active. Like this thing just eats EVs for breakfast. So
Oh yeah.
there's a world where this actually does take a knockout on something early. We just see another mentor here coming in super late. I mean that's good for Zach as well. I'm interested to see the Pokemon he ends up playing. Like I'm not seeing a deck yet. He actually has a very low amount of Pokemon in his draft in comparison to what we've seen here. So I wonder what he's waiting for. If he's maybe looking to see some specific card for direction. Like we're not towards the end of this draft yet, so there's still plenty of time. But the fear I always have, and not to detract from him, he's definitely drafting really well. He's got a lot of really outstanding picks right off the bat. But I guess what you can do in this cube, because the balancing is pretty spectacular, is that you can just take the most undrafted line and win with it. You just have to, she's just gonna be very consistent. So
Yeah.
I think and I'm still trying to figure out what his strategy is here, but my guess would be, whatever I'm drafting, I'm going to be the most consistent version of it. So I'm just gonna, generally just take good cards, and then once I get some better direction, some insane picks here that really cement my deck archetype, I'm gonna be head deep in there. So we do see a lot of EV speculation in there. The Leafeon, obviously, I think actually a pretty good pick here. So we could see him obviously backdoor into EVs again, and I think that's fine. We do see if he gets a few more Kolavas, Typhlosion's still on the board. He's still got options, and he still has 2 Vibrava. I seriously do think Flygon's definitely being taken at this point, but
Oh yeah, of
uh,
course.
but like you never know. Sometimes multiple Flygons come through the pack stream, and you can just 190 or 180 into there. So Zach's definitely keeping himself open. And but he can pivot. So the thing you don't want to be into, like if you think of an example where you don't take any Pokemon for like 3 packs in, and then you have to pivot into something, that's where it gets tough. But where Zach's doing, he's kind of just like testing the waters. He's got a little bit of different stuff that can synergize. So he could go into a straight grass deck with his Leafeon. He could go into maybe like a fire deck with this Flareon EX and Typhlosion combo. He can go just multiple EVs. He can use the Typhlosion as an accelerator. So he's not pigeonholing himself into one type yet. I think just waiting to see like some really solid build arounds. But I'm interested to see like at what point will he pull the trigger.
Yeah, I think it's just a question of getting the linchpin card in your deck. Like maybe with this draft, if I see either Latias or I don't know about Rayquaza. Rayquaza EX only works really well with Typhlosion Prime.
Mm-hmm.
But if I see Latias, I'm into fire right now because there's no reason not to.
Right.
Like
You
you
have the
already
pieces
have
you
every.
need.
Yeah, you have exactly what you need there. And maybe going for Skitty on that pack just to get the Skitty out of the way, and maybe you open a pack with a
Mm-hmm.
big old energy draw Delcatty, which there are 2 of. Not a lot of Delcatty, but like 2 of is fine.
I think he is
Maybe I'd go for
considering a
Skitty.
backdoor into Leafeon into EVs here with the Leafeon pick and now the EV pick here. Just as safety, I bet. I mean, you can play the EVs with virtually anything, so definitely not a bad setup to have. Just like that option. So, but he did have to pass up some pretty outstanding. He has not seen Umbreon Prime. He's not seen he had to pass Espeon Prime, so can't really go into that kind of deck. But maybe he just has the option to later. Up and the Jirachi did get taken here. He could take the
Hey,
Ho EX out of spite.
yeah, hey, draft the Ho right now. Don't let. I guess if it was me, I would let someone play a Maze Box just for the memes. But honestly, the rest of the pack is pretty bad. Like
Yeah.
the greedy draw puzzle is not great. You're not playing Lightning to like get a hold of Hand Charge and to accelerate. Vaporeon Star not bad, not good. Dark Fluffy, sure. Like, yeah, Fluffy here is good because like maybe you open jamming, and if I open jamming, I'm playing jamming and
Right.
anything.
Jamie does not need to be playing in Ampharos deck specifically. So I do like this. The amount of direct. I mean, you could just obviously now you don't have to worry about getting like you just need a Mareep at that point, and the Mareeps are pretty bountiful here. So you should have no problem seeing those. I do wonder what he's thinking now though. If he's just kind of like keeping his options like as open as possible. Maybe in the next pack, hopefully he'll see something that he's like, excited about that he'll end up taking. But we'll be towards maybe like the middle of this draft here, towards the end. So we're interested to see like what he goes for towards the late. He's got himself. I will say he's got himself a really good consistency engine so far. The N, the Juniper, the 2 Holland Mentors, the Computer Search, the Misty's Wrath. I mean, these are just outstanding cards in any deck, and you'd be happy just to get maybe 1 or 2 of those, but he's got them all. Definitely some nice stuff here. We do see the Cynical come back as well as the Emolga. I might see him pick the Cynical here just to have padding out some more of the basic line. Yep, that is what we see here.
Yeah,
Nothing other than this pack seemed pretty too interesting, but I do like the Deceptive Horse he's out here. I feel like that's bait.
I also like the Cyndaquil because he does have 1 mutant drink. I don't think he's gonna play like anything mutant, but it's there. Maybe he opens like Ampharos Delta and tries to go for it. Maybe even Tyranitar Delta is not as bad in this deck. But yeah, just get your basic and pad out your line. The rest of the pack is no good. Lady without a Delcatty in her deck, bad card. Don't play it. And or like any type of hand accelerator, be it like a Swampert or Flygon Delta. Yeah, this is like the late pack. You just take whatever you can get your hands on and pray that it's good enough to be in your deck. Um, his lines are fine. I like how he kind of went back for EVs, just to have a secondary plan. Maybe he opens Umbreon Prime in like a bad pack and goes for Umbreon. I'd for sure go for that.
Hmm.
And he already passed one of the Umbreon from Majestic Dawn from with Moonlight Veil that removes weakness and turns retreat cost into 0, and one of the Sunlight Veil Espion. But that's the reason that way there are 2 in the cube, so 2 people can play EVs, and I guess one of them will have Umbreon and one won't. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The rest of this is gonna be like bad card into bad card and praying that your pack 4 goes a little bit better. Pack 3 wasn't great. Like computer search, Misty's Wrath, great, super
Right.
happy. And then after that, it was kind of
Nothing really.
worse.
I mean, like, so I feel like they were generally good cards, but nothing that's like, okay, well, we're in this line now, or this line is where I'm at. Um, so nothing like archetype defining cards. I think he's been able to find. That I think he's been really interested in. We saw the 3 Typhlosions come through the last pack, but we haven't seen yet is that Typhlosion Prime. So like you mentioned before, not having the basics or the Typhlosion Prime is, I mean, it's not so easy to pull the trigger on that line yet. Um, so hopefully we'll see something more in this next pack. I think he is kind of getting like, he's kind of just forming some padding out on around some other lines. Like he's taking the Vibrava here, so maybe if Flygons come through, he can get into there. I think he's just setting himself up with the most options, just so he can safely pivot into different lines. We have seen a lot of Vibravas come through. Actually, I take it back, but I said the Flygon stuff not coming through. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean the line's open. There are some times where there's things where the Flygons just haven't been like, they haven't showed up yet. So people are just not taking the lines yet. So but that's a really good situation. If you are someone who has, you know, three or four Vibravas, and you're like, okay, well, all I need is the Trapinch, and I'm in there. So we do see a Gym Trainer and a Rocket Sneak Attack. It's kind of getting a little bit garbage now. So the Rocket Sneak Attack actually can be, for like a better word, sneaky. So I don't know if it ends up in his deck, but it could be a card that you sometimes can make it work. But I'm super excited for this pack 4. I really want to know where this draft goes. It could go in so many different directions, and all it takes is just a little bit of direction, and he's there.
Yeah. Let's hope that he opens like a crazy pack like that computer searcher,
Mm-hmm.
Misty's Wrath, or even like that Juniper Lucamine Pont pack was. That
I'd
was a
like to see
big
some
fun.
Pokemon. I'd like to see some like powerful Pokemon like Jamming or Latias EX or stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. I really want to see what he finds here. He's going to go into because he's got I mean he's got the foundation. He's got really good consistency foundation already started. He just needs to find a little bit more direction. He's there.
Yeah, true. The one linchpin card is this here. Is he gonna open it? Please, please, please. He's praying to God, and not really.
No, I mean the pack is it's very okay. Yeah, Ampharos EX or Emeraldo EX not really too interesting. Challenge some consistency. It's just some consistency. He's got some setup mons here. I mean, it's a pretty weak opening pack if you're being honest. Nothing a whole lot to get excited about here. Which generally is I don't want to say spells doom because there's still 48 picks left, but I'm sure Zach, you would have hoped to open something more like defiant, like okay, I could take this now. Like this is a card I'm really hoping to get my hands on. So we're hoping the next packs are a little bit more bountiful. But he is taking the challenge here. I happen to really like challenge. I think it's a consistency card as well as a draw card at the same time. So or search card and a draw card at the same time, I should say. And given this pack's like how it looks, like I think challenge is a good pick here.
Yeah, I agree. The rest of the pack is very like one person will be very happy to see their Armaldo EX there. Armaldo EX is one of the best cards in the cube in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And but the rest of the pack, like Call Energy kind of sucks to be fair. I don't like it.
It's
One
good.
of
It's Call Energy is great if you're playing like 4 copies of it,
yeah,
and you can
if you
open
have
Call Energy. If you can't open Call Energy, it's a lot worse.
oh
We just see Latios CX here. We see Latios
yeah,
CX.
baby.
A Cynthia. We'll have to see. I have. I'll be honest. I have no idea what he's gonna take from this pack.
Okay. So hear me out here. Latias EX wheels. It's wheelable. I'm pretty sure the rest of the pack is not great. Like, mm,
Mhm.
this is the chance to get a Cynthia or even a Castaway. I guess the Castaway is also wheelable. I don't like wheeling very, very priority cards like Ladia ZX. When you
Mhm.
have a fire draft and this is one of your best attacker, I just go for it and accept that I don't get the Cynthia.
Also, the
Uh,
like third or fourth Kulavas in this pack as well, which is
oh
pretty big
yeah,
deal.
yeah, that's gonna wheel for sure. So
Yeah.
going
So,
Ladia Squilava, it looks it's not a Cynthia, but
mhm.
it's your deck will function with those cards. You can't be sad about that.
Yeah, I'm like on the edge of it. I have no idea what he's gonna take. And I feel like this is a very draft defining pack here. Because it's gonna change the direction he goes into depending on what he picks here. We see him hovering over the Cynthia here, so he might just be going for the generally just best consistency card. He does, like you say, doesn't have the prime yet, and I don't know how good his Typhlosion deck would be in this case. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what his headspace is at. If he's got other ideas, if he's looking to do something with the EVs instead, see that happening here. If that's the case, then the Ladio CX or the Kalava, obviously both useless here. Like I think this is really gonna let us know like what he's thinking here, or at least give us an idea of what direction he wants to take this draft into. Man, this is a tough one to look at. Because I mean, there's also a Leafeon in here. We've seen him take several Leafeons before, so that's obviously another option here. The Cynthia, I think if he's not interested in the fire aspect of it, the Cynthia is definitely a strong pick. Because I do think there's a world where Latios CX does wheel, because in what deck besides a fire accelerant deck are you playing this card in, you know? And with 3 Typhlosions already down on the board, if someone doesn't have the prime, it could easily backfire. We are seeing, I guess there was a hiccup in the the drafter here. They're just rewinding a pack here. Nothing to be alarmed on, folks. Everything is fine. This is kind of the nice thing. Sometimes weird stuff happens to the drafters. So, but Google Sheets does save previous copies, so we can easily back up a pack and no harm, no foul here. Obviously, people say keep your current picks, so we see still taking the challenge. Still giving him a little bit more time to think about what he wanted to take there. I guess maybe also he was Zach's also running this pod right now, so he was also probably fixing the issues here. And we are back with the same dilemma we were in before. Latios EX and Cynthia in the same pack, as well as a Kulava. Zach has 3 Typhlosions, no Kulava. But we are seeing the Latios EX. He has waited long enough. He's like, okay, this is all I wanted to see. So I am happy to see the Latios EX come through here. I think it's pretty likely the Kulava will wheel. So I sadly cannot say the same about the Cynthia. I mean, there's no way. But the Kulava definitely coming back is what he wants to take, because there's only so many Kulavas left in the draft.
Yeah, this like having the Latias and the Kulava in the same pack is so good for how this pack is gonna go, and getting the Latias is like the adult pick. Is someone gets you a beer and you're driving and you say no.
It's the responsible pick that you're.
The responsible pick. Your deck is gonna be better.
I think the Cynthia would be if he had another idea, and I don't know what it would be, but then maybe. But I think the Latias EX, since he has 3 Typhlosions, and you're getting to the point of the draft where after this pack, it's kind of just like feast or famine, for like line toppers and stuff. Like it's really hard to just like go into another line the later it goes. So this is like your one chance to stay into fire, and you already have 3 Typhlosions.
Yeah.
So go ahead. This might just be as good as it's going to get right now. And the Latias EX is insane. And you know what the other Typhlosion players, if there is one, doesn't have is the Latias EX. And wow, this pack is insane. We have Cynthia Caitlyn, Support Navigator Lapras, Strong Energy, another Burning Aura Typhlosion, Dowsing Machine, which we already said was our favorite ace spec in this cube, Capture Energy. Like, oh my gosh, you cannot have put some more busted cards together at this point in the draft. I can't imagine what the first person took from this pack. This pack is so good. I have to imagine maybe a line topper. Or
their line topper appeared here. This is the pack where like your linchpin card appears with like every other card that you want, and you just cry and get the card that you need. And but like Typhlosion wheelable. It's not Typhlosion Prime. If this was Typhlosion Prime, I'd go for Typhlosion Prime.
Yeah, Typhlosion Prime way stronger in the deck, but he already has 1 Burning Aura, so it's not like he's really worried about it. He's gonna take the Bird Keeper here for the mobility. I guess that makes sense. I think Typhlosion wants to keep its bench pretty full with accelerants and attackers. That Lapras is kind of a kind of hinders you in some of those respects. Birdkeeper giving him the mobility to go into something like this, using his like accelerant abilities pretty early as well as being consistent. So and he already has the computer search. I think if he didn't have the computer search, he'd probably take Dowsy Machine.
Oh yeah, of course.
But there's no real reason to take two A-specs here. Like you're sad because Dowsy Machine is a good card, but you already have the computer search. You're just getting better cards into your deck that you can play. You can't play both Birdkeeper and Dowsy Machine, so might as well take a great card you can put into your deck. He also need to take Sindlin because he's got Palpet and Via Seeker. He definitely doesn't do Strong Energy, although it could go on that Aerodactyl a bit. I don't think that's where he wants to go with this. So I definitely agree with Birdkeeper here, given the packs. But man, there is a lot of pack one, pick one potential in this pack. That definitely an interesting one to say the least.
Yeah, that pack was super insane, and we see the Umbreon Prime. Like, okay, the rest of the pack not great. I don't think he really wants any card. Like maybe Ocean.
Maybe see Manaphy, but Umbreon Prime also some interesting direction here. See the Manaphy I feel like has higher odds of going into his deck. You're going for the Eevee actually. Not valuing either one. I guess trying to pad out maybe some more evolutions for his deck. But man, the Ocean Surge Manaphy I think is just such a great card. But maybe he feels like his consistency engine is so on point and he doesn't need it that maybe he values having another Eevee. Granted, your opportunities to draft EVs are constantly diminishing because EVs tend to get swooped up towards the middle of the draft anyway. He is unselecting the EV here, so maybe reconsidering a pick here. We'll have to see. He still hovered over the EV, so he's going to go for the Porygon, actually. Now, that's the one I wasn't expecting. Davi, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I kind of forgot about the Porygon there. I do think that he needs to get either Porygon or Delcatty. It's not on your hands to get one of them, right? You could just hope that one of them will get to you eventually. Yeah, I think it's fine. Like, I don't think you can play Umbreon Prime anymore. And it's not like if this was a one pod tournament, I would take Umbreon Prime for sure, right? Because nobody else would be playing. But the two other pods will have Umbreon Primes, and then like you kind of wasted a pick. And none of the other picks were really good. I don't think he plays. I think now we can safely say that he is into Typhlosion. Even without Typhlosion Prime, I would play this deck with the
He kind of has to be with how much he has for it.
Yeah, for sure. And then like he just needs to get like the best cards for that deck. He goes for Multi-Energy. Multi-Energy and Judge, kind of interesting here. Multi-Energy is so good in Typhlosion to like attack with your tech. Because of Firestarter, you can like attack with some weird attackers, like maybe some evolutions. He can attack with those Leafeons if he really wants to. He may be playing like Leafeon in Typhlosion just because of the water resistance.
Yeah, honestly, the Leafeon into Kingdra is really strong.
So the bad part about that is that Kingdra has lightning weakness, but you do have water resistance.
But having to discard, so having played this matchup with Kingdra versus Leafeon, Leafeon makes you have to discard more cards to do like little to no damage. It's very sad. That's what it is.
Demoralizing.
Yeah. And the Kingdra deck doesn't have access to Claydol anymore, and I think Claydol was a big component of that deck. So they're kind of just reliant on backup, or maybe even Delcatty. So having to discard two cards from that hand generally just does not feel great. So Leafeon can definitely help pad out some of that. He already took Weakness Guard and Weakness Policy, so he's got a lot of ways to deal with Kingdra if that comes up. So yeah, I do like what you said about the multi-energy. Hopefully he's got, I know we've been praising his consistency base, but I haven't seen how many supports he's actually ended up taking. It looks like
it's
7. So
yeah, I can read them if you want to.
Yeah, sure. Let's do a quick recap.
2 Hollow Mentor, which it's fine. Like 1 Hollow Mentor, super strong. 2 less good. 1 Hollow Researcher, probably not gonna play it. 1 Milo, it's bad, but sometimes you need a supporter. 1 N, pretty good. 1 Juniper, pretty good. 1 Birdkeeper, pretty good. So he needs like substance, right? He has quality, but he needs a bit more. Like in these kind of decks, I like some of. Not bad supporters, but like middling supporters, something like a Professor Rowan, not that bad on a deck like this. Sage's Training, pretty good.
Yeah, I could see Sage's Training here. Yeah, the fear I have is that 43 picks left, I get to a point where sometimes the supporters just don't come through towards the end of the draft, and then you're kind of left standing without much to put into your deck. Now, he does, like you said, he has a lot of quality. There's a lot of great cards in his draft pool, and definitely great to see that. But you can't build a deck off maybe 7 supporters alone. You do need a lot more, especially in like cubes like this where you're mostly supporter reliant. You can see him take the Sage's Training. I would personally take that at this point, or the Sabrina's Gaze. I think Sabrina's Gaze is also just a really good.
Sabrina's Gaze is really good in a deck with Delcatty or Porygon, where you have guaranteed draw already, and you're not like reliant on your item or supporter to draw exactly. Maybe your supporters and items are like more search oriented, where your Pokemon draw. He goes for the Sabrina. I think the Sages is better in his deck, honestly, just because he needs supporters. He doesn't mind the discard that much. He has like discarding Fire Energy for him is actually good. The Sabrina, it's better if he gets a Porygon 2. If he gets a Porygon 2, then getting the Sabrina is better than getting the Sage's Training. But
so my fear with the Sages, my only issue with Sages is that his discard right now he has a lot of discard with the Acrobike, the Misty's Wrath, the Juniper. That the Sages also has a lot of discard if you had to put in a deck. The Sabrina's Gaze at least is an item card that at least is going to refill his hand. Granted, -1 card, but I definitely could see this. I think he's also banking on trying to hit maybe a Delcatty or a Porygon, as he has a Skitty and a Porygon in his draft pool. So those could definitely be options for him. I don't know if he'll actually end up finding those, but maybe that's kind of the thought process here. But we'll have to see. Definitely good arguments on both sides. I think it's just gonna depend on what pans out here. Maybe just Sabrina's just like a less of a heavy discard option that he's maybe worried about.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. We see we're getting to that part of the pack where cards are not great. You gotta get a card. You're probably not gonna use it. Maybe the Taurus. I don't hate this Taurus. Sometimes
I don't hate Taurus either.
Sometimes it just helps you against, I don't know, like there are no like super strong stadiums in this queue. I guess there is one Curse Stone, but again, it's one Curse Stone. It's not like 3 or 4 Curse Stone like RSPK Cube or something.
It's really just like a setup Mama Call for Family that has the added bonus of taking out a stadium, but energy retrieval here probably just guaranteed he can get a little bit more recovery. We told her he doesn't have much recovery going on at this point. Which is okay. He's still got plenty of time to take like a good consistency, good recovery card. But I've seen some decks only end up with just retriever at the very end, and sometimes you just need some energy recovery. So, he's just kind of, I guess, at this point in the draft, I think it gets really, really interesting to see what the lines you can take here, because you could easily just fall to maybe the Mutant Drink or the Tauros or maybe the Armaldo, but like you really got to consider, what do I need? And even if it's like the worst recovery card, I would rather have like the worst recovery card than like no recovery card if I absolutely needed one. So this is where you have to think about the draft. You have to think about, even if it's not the cards you really want, it's still, can pay dividends later. So even though energy retrieval is not like the super rod maybe he's going to hope for later, or like, exactly what you need, but it's better than nothing. We do see the Kulava come back here. I have to imagine he takes it because there's just not that many left in the draft pool. And
he had no Kulava before this.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? So all the Kulavas have really kind of been, not all of them, but a good majority of them have already been seen. I think he only really needs 2 or 3, ideally 3, and maybe a rare candy. But he kind of has to make the best out of it. There are, I believe, 6 total, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, 6 total.
And I can't remember how many we've actually seen. I know we've seen at least 2. This is our 3rd one, or maybe a 3rd or 4th one. If it's the 4th one, that's a little spookier, but I feel like this is the 3rd one we've seen.
Maybe the 4th, but it's gonna be fine. Like at this point in the draft, you just know that you can like wheel a Kulava in any pack you see.
And he really just needs to set up a few Typhlosions. They sit on the bench, right? Like he's really just trying to find the basics that also pair.
Yeah. And this Kulava is also Delta. He has 1 Mutant Drink. It's not selected yet, but maybe like when doing the final count of this deck, he's going like, okay, sure, it's one of my Cyndaquils become one of my Kulavas. Maybe if he gets like extra Cyndaquils Delta or Kulava Delta, the card gets just better. Or he can even evolve like the Eevee to a Kulava. Not a bad idea. I do want to talk about one of the like potential combos that I've seen in this deck, where he took a Leafeon Rising Rivals really early. Not really early, but like on a pack that had a few power cards, but he chose that Leafeon. has energy refresh. As long as Leafeon is your active Pokemon, whenever you attach an energy from one of your Pokemon, you heal 20. Guess what does 20 damage on this cube? And it's water type.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, and the Leafeon also has water resistance, and the attack on it's pretty good. It's plus energy, grass, colorless, 40 damage. Attach a basic energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. So you can heal 40 damage a turn, attaching from hand and then using plus energy. It's a pretty good tech into Kingdra, I'd say. I personally would play this into Typhlosion, like and I don't. I maybe wouldn't play the Vaporeons, and I'd surely play that energy refresh one. And I don't know. I guess a Flareon EX is also not a bad option there.
Hmm.
Just a decent card all around. But I really like that Leafeon. Like he has 2 multi energy, I think.
Yeah, he took 2 multi energies. He passed the judge for the multi energy. He took the multi energy over the judge, and he took one earlier in the very
Oh
beginning.
yeah. He didn't sort yet, but I was looking at one. But yeah, there are 2 multi energy, so that Leafeon can attack pretty decently, and counter energy also works on the Leafeon. So if he has like a Hollow Magnemite, Hollow's Magneton, Cast Form, or Electrode, it's pretty good.
Wow,
And
Lapras is still in the pack.
you
I'll
don't
be
get
honest,
the
that was
Lapras,
not.
right?
Yeah, that was
You
not what I was expecting.
can't.
Well, it depends on how much you value the Typhlosion
Oh, he
here.
does.
Well, if
Okay.
The Typhlosion might matter less to him if he's just looking for Typhlosion to be like an energy accelerator and not so much
Hmm.
a main attacker. Like if he was going for more
Yeah.
of like a EV strat with Typhlosion in the back as an accelerant, the Lapras is really good here. Um, and he's still waiting for the Prime. Like I do
Yeah.
think Burning Aura is great, but he already has one, and if he finds the Prime, like I think he doesn't need 2 Burning Aura for his deck to work. I agree with what you're saying too. I think the Leafeon strat makes a lot of sense. And he could definitely go into like an EV's Typhlosion deck if he wanted to. He's got the bones for it. So like I think the Lapras pick here is just, I mean, when are you gonna get your late Lapras like this?
Yeah, this is never gonna happen ever again. If you get a swoop, I think Zach like cries with joy if he gets a swoop,
Yeah.
and because like this is Tapu Lele, people like come on, we know what this card does. Someone will get Lapras into N for sure. In this, I wouldn't not expect this Lapras to you, and yeah, I agree. The Typhlosion is like it's good. It's a pretty good attacker, and so you already have one, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I
It's
think,
you're not gonna attack with this Typhlosion twice a game, I
and with
think.
only access to 2 Koalas at this point, like Typhlosion might as well just become a consistency line at right now. So like you would kick yourself if you end up not playing Typhlosion like fully, and you pass it to Lapras. So I do agree with the Lapras. I would probably take the Lapras in the same position. Now if it was a Prime though, that wouldn't have been in the pack. I would have already been taken. He's gonna go for the EVs here. People don't really like Manaphy. I think Manaphy is a great card, but I guess you do need some sort of way to retreat it, like a U-turn board or air balloon. But I think the EV makes sense because he is kind of hurting for evolving basics for the EVs line, especially if you're planning to play a bunch of different EVs. We need to like you need to pad out the fact that your EV line can evolve. So I think this is a really good way to get the consistency line moving out, especially because the Kulava line is not really too thick right now. It's kind of he's kind of hurting for Kulavas at this point, which we've already been talking about. So really looking forward to seeing like where this goes from here. Then it's kind of towards the end of the pack here. There's another Vibrava coming through here, which is very surprising. I think that is like the 4th Vibrava that we've maybe seen at this point.
Yeah, Zach has 3 right, Bravo right now.
So I mean, unless the Flygon found maybe either the Flygons haven't come through. Although I have not. Have you seen many Trapinch? I have not seen that many Trapinch.
I saw the one that gets Gather Stand. I think gets energy from the discard. I
Mhm.
think that wheeled. I saw
I
like
saw
the
another
other one.
one.
Yeah, the very cute art from like a newer set. I don't remember which one is that, but I did saw that one. Not a lot of Trapinch. And one thing that I need to remind you is that Flygon usually plays on a Delta line, so it has mutant
So it doesn't
capabilities.
care.
It's not that it doesn't care, but it's not
Mhm.
like if you have 2 Vibrava and like 4 Flygon, you're good. Like it's playable.
We already seen him take the Absolute X over the stages, so he was not be interested in stages whatsoever. I might have just taken it just to have another supporter. I don't know what Absolute. I guess in a toolbox deck, like Absol EX could work, but I feel like you really want it with like Jolteon EX or something of that nature. I mean, we see the Tauros coming here, just kind of a generally good pick. I don't know if any of these cards will end up in a deck. They might, but just kind of taking generally good cards at this point. I mean, you're not really interested in the Rouse or the Trico. It is really good that he got off the Sceptile line when he did, though, because as you can see, the Sceptiles have not, besides the Energy Trance that we saw super early, we have not really seen a Sceptile since.
No, actually, okay. So we saw Sceptile Delta once. Then he got the Sceptile from, I don't remember the sets, Arceus, the Green Breath.
Yeah.
And we did see Energy Trance.
Yeah,
it was
that
there.
was like super early in the pack.
Not really. It was like pack 3 at most, pick 3, I mean. But like it was there. It was possible to play the Sceptile line, but I think like giving what he saw, just the Typhlosion was just better, like better suited for him to.
When you see it like pick 3 though, like you unless it's made around the table, like
it's
still really hard to take it and then be like to feel securely into that line. I definitely agree passing it. I'm just glad he got out of the line. I don't think he would have been able to come together really well. Or as well as it could have.
Yeah, sure. I agree.
Anyway, we do see the cynical here. I mean, we have what, 2 more packs left?
Yes.
We're approaching on pack 5. So
Hollow FF! Yeah, that's so good to see. Hollow FF is so good in this deck. Connor used it Hollow FF a lot. It's a weakness guard if you have a fire energy attached. It's getting to the point where you're playing a lot of special energy, so maybe this doesn't go to the deck, you just play weakness guard. Because you have counter multi Hollow FF. That's a lot of energy. You want a lot of fire energy in your deck, so
it's late. Very nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's probably one of the cards that would be cut. I wouldn't play like less than 9 fire.
Right, because you need to be able to synergize that, right, with the Typhlosion that accelerates from the discard.
Yeah, both of them. Both prime that will surely appear right now.
No, but we do see a lot of other things. A backup Porygon, Cessation Crystal, Professor Oak. There's a Flygon EX2. Man, what a crazy pack we got here. I feel like maybe you should be between the Cessation Crystal and the Porygon too. What do you think?
Cessation Crystal is good. Like, it's a great card. Zach has used Cessation Crystal a lot. Like, he destroyed me on RSPK Cube with that. The Meganium deck with Cessation Crystal. Like, he used powers and Cessation Crystal at the same time.
I do want to note that Cessation Crystal is Zach Cracker's favorite card. I have that on record.
Yep.
I like you said this earlier. He does need the Porygon, right? So
yeah, he needs this Porygon. Like,
yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. He needs the consistency. I think this is the good part about taking that Porygon when he did, because this is a really easy pick now.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about, oh my god, what if I don't get a Porygon? You have the Porygon. Getting Porygons and Skitties and like Baltoys and early picks, like when you have a bad pack and you see one of them, just get them. Don't worry. Later you be crying when you get like, oh, I opened the Porygon 2 in the last pack and I saw no Porygons after that. So yeah, it's just like a small thing that will save you a few pods of going like 0-2 instead of, I guess, 1-1 or something like that.
It's just because it's a lot more heartbreaking. You see the Porygon too, and you're like, oh, but am I even going to see a Porygon? And then you end up taking a Porygon over like something else that was good. Like, it's such an easy thing to look over. Like, you don't think about it when you're looking at the packs. You're like, okay, I mean, this pack sucks. But then you're like, well, hold on. Maybe I do unpack a Delcatty. Maybe I do unpack a Porygon.
Yep.
It really, honestly, those little decisions really separates you. But man, that was a crazy pack. Look at this pack. We have, honestly, some other good stuff here. Scorched Earth's really good for him. Holland's Transceiver also really good. Shauna, another okay supporter. 2 Transceivers in the pack is kind of interesting. It's like, a fourth of the Transceivers are already in this pack. I guess also just trying to pad out that niche. Has he taken a Transceiver yet, or have we seen any?
No, he has no Transceiver, but his Hollow line is kind of bad. It's 1 Researcher, 2 Mentor. The Researchers got better because he has 1 Cyndaquil Delta and 2 Quilava Delta, so it's kind of a Bebe search, but only for like your evolution pieces and one of your attackers. Not good, not great. But sometimes you just need to search a basic, or you lose a game, and your transceivers are there to save you. So yeah, I like this pick. Maybe I don't think the Scorched Earth wheels, because we've seen a lot of the good Armaldos, and they got somewhere. So I think the Scorched Earth will go to the Armaldo player. We see another transceiver pick, or Guzman Hala. He goes straight for the transceiver. Didn't even think about that one. Desert Shaman also there. It's like the old version of Judge.
Yeah.
But I think his deck is consistency only, right? He wants to get his attackers going, and Transceiver gets, I guess, Researcher gets Eevee, Cynical, Clava, Typhlosion, Delta. That's it. That's good enough for
Yeah.
me. I'd play that.
You can go like also like Mentor and then Transceiver Delt, and they got like the. Oh no, is it basic? Am I misreading that? Is it
No, it's Basic Revolution.
Oh,
yeah,
so you can't grab the Koala with that. Okay.
Yeah,
Which is good. Yeah. Oh, that's really good then. It's the 3 Holland Transceivers we've seen just in 2 packs. I mean, we've already seen a few more of that too. So, the Transceiver bus is leaving. So, go to the station.
He got into the Transceiver bus pretty late. His feet is out of the bus, but he's there. He's on it.
He caught it just in time. Kind of another interesting pack.
Ooh.
We see another. So this is kind of what I was thinking. Like, are the Flygons have they been unpacked yet? I guess not. But here they are. He's taking the Kingdra EX.
Yeah, hate drafting just to like make the Kingdra deck at least a bit worse, just a bit worse. The rest of the pack is kind of bad for him. The Latias is not like a terrible attacker. He doesn't. I don't think he wants to use the multi energies on Mess Ball. I don't think that's good enough. Like
it's
the
a lot of
typing
discard. Yeah,
the typing on Latias is also not great. Like you're only hitting weakness on the Flygon EX, and the Flygon EX is there. Nobody's using it. So
another Transceiver.
Oh my god, those are 4 Transceivers in 2 packs. And Tyranitar Prime, one of the best attackers in the cube.
I have to wonder what's in this pack. 3 Seadras also in 1 pack as well. That is half the Seadra stage 1 line sitting right in front of us.
And before this pack, there was the one that used to be played on the Kingdra LA decks in 2009. The good one.
And we also saw, I felt like we saw another Seadra with like the 30 snipe come out not too long ago.
Probably, yeah, maybe. I don't think.
I mean, I wasn't really staring at the Seadras, I'll be honest, but I think we've seen most of the Seadras come out. So
yeah,
Zach has to be feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, for sure. Like the Kingdra deck is maybe I hate draft the Kingdra the LA. Just making instead of 3 Kingdra decks, making 2. I think that's good enough.
I think you have to. I think the Kingdra EX
weakness.
honestly doesn't affect the Kingdra deck too much. Having played this cube League and playing Kingdra, I honestly I never used the Kingdra EX once. It was just discard fodder for the Kingdra LA. I think the fighting Kingdra EX has a lot of merit, definitely. But I think the problem is that Seadras in this cube are honestly good enough as just Seadras. Like that energy ball is great type coverage. For stuff like Jolteon EX, but either way, just thinking out some Kingdras. This pack's also pretty nice. Another Holland Adventure. There's also another Leafeon with the Leaf Guard. The Leaf Guard's like the best counter into Kingdra. I know Best Pal Al just bullied me to death with that Leaf Guard Leafeon, because not only is it resistant to water, it also reduces 20 damage. So having to discard 2 cards to do 20 is just painful. But I think the Adventure is better for the Holland's energy. He's thinning out here. And I have to respect it. I think he's getting out the consistency coming out. They're coming out. They're coming hot. A lot of these Holland stuff are just coming back to back to back.
Remember when I said that he wasn't on the Holland train? He is on the Holland train.
He is now. Yeah.
I don't know the person ahead of the train.
I think he's driving the bus. Honestly, I think he's the captain of this Holland ship that's sailing.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Adventurer is so much better now that he has multiple Delta evolutions. Like he's got the Cyniquils, the Quavas, the Typhlosion. So even if he's got something that he doesn't really need to play in this matchup, he can just discard it, draw 4. Like that's insanely good. And I'm not too sad passing up any of these cards. And I think he's definitely got himself a really good starting engine. I think everything's really kind of coming together at this point. This is really like I think what makes Zach such an outstanding drafter. Like it got really scary at some points. I mean, we weren't seeing the direction where it was going, but he had a plan. I'm sure he's sticking to it. And I think he's honestly not compromising any of his like principles here. He's sticking, I think, to the book here and making very good choices that is ultimately coming together in these packs here. I mean, now the Lapras pick late was pretty lucky. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything he's gotten so far, he put himself in a great position here. Looking at this pack, we have the new Sabrina Bryson man. You see the Holland Scientist. He could have picked up another adventure, but I do like the Holland Scientist for the options here. But
yeah, one Holland Scientist in your Holland deck is so good. There are turns where you draw like 6, 7, 8 cards with this. You don't need 2. You don't. You only need 1. Usually on a deck like this, I think he has the kind of the perfect engine for this deck, which is 2 Adventure, two mentor, which are cards that you don't want to prize because they would screw you over. Like
Right.
you prize your transceivers are so bad on the mid game where you just want to draw three. You
Yeah.
just need to draw like an energy and like you can't. That's so bad. And one scientist. One scientist is like a card where you use once or twice, but when you use scientist, it's so strong. Like he
Yeah.
has been. I'm gonna reread all of his picks from the start of this pack to now. Porygon 2, Transceiver, Kingdra EX, Adventure, now Scientist.
Yeah, he's definitely he like basically filled out the entire engine. Although it's really interesting. I feel like we saw like a majority of the Holland's like engine come through here, which is mind-boggling to say the least. It might let him get some more Holland's transceivers. Oh, we do see the Professor Oak is still in the pack. That is interesting, but other people might already have their ace specs, so maybe I'm less surprised about that. Zigzagoon also in the pack still really good, just to set up some damage. He's going to take another Holland Scientist, just again panning out that Holland engine, and you just need supporters. Like supporters are what makes your deck fire and function. So, and obviously he's got the Holland synergies going. You said he's got what 3 transceivers now? Is that right?
I think he only 2 transceivers. I don't think he got any early. Yeah, he only has 2
That's 2
transceivers, which is it's fine. I think I wouldn't play Scientist here. I would maybe go for Elm or even Ninja Boy. Ninja Boy not great because you have Soup, but Elm is just decent where like there are games where you need to get the Leafeon, like if you go against a Kingdra, and that's just an out. You have Lapras to like go for a Lapras Elm Lapras Elm Leafeon and try to like play around the Kingdra. Oh, Chatot.
I was very surprised to see that. I mean, that's a really good setup on free attacker. Essentially, just copycat as an attack, but free retreat really good for Typhlosion. Doesn't even just slap an air balloon on that. He can just promote Chatot and then use his abilities to accelerate fire energies and then just be good to go. It makes just a really good attack. Sometimes you honestly can get somebody with Chatter if they run out of retreat stuff. You can use those 2 catchers he's got there. And chatter somebody. I mean, it can happen. It's happened to me before. It feels bad, but but Mimic though is the insane attack that allows him to basically just essentially opening first turn when your opponent has played any cards yet. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna draw 6 or shuffle draw 6 new hand, and I have a free retreater to basically pivot to whatever I want. It's just such a good card for his deck right now.
Yeah, friendship where Aerodactyl GL is over. Now, Chatot is my best friend. I'm sure he's gonna play this card in his deck.
I think one of the big things for setup mods is when they don't have energy required attacks, like free attacks like Mimic, are really good just because you can just you don't have to worry about your first attachment being on a Pokemon that's not going to be taking prizes. Now, if it's a mutant cube, it's a bit different, but in this cube specifically, Chatot's great setup mod. It's exactly what you're looking for. And we do see the Desert Shaman also coming back as well as another Porygon. A lot of really interesting picks here. And the Skitty also coming back. I'm not surprised the Skitty or some of the evolving basics are still in this pack, but we can see him go for another Porygon or a Desert Shaman or a Draw Supporter. So, Davi, what do you think?
Widow is also interesting.
Oh, you're right. Watch and learn.
Yeah, you have 2 multis, 1 counter, and generally you have a Typhlosion deck which can attach from out of nowhere. So I don't think he goes for the Sudowoodo. Yeah, I think Desert Shaman's pretty good. Again, he has Versaseeker, he has Palpad, he has Zen, but like early game Desert Shaman, and while like you're attacking with, I don't know, Flareon EX or Leafeon, some of these attackers that don't need much, pretty good. He can get another Cyndaquil here. He has 3. I think the rest of the pack is The Jirachi, this one is, I wouldn't pick the Jirachi. I think in cube, the Jirachi, not good. Not great.
Yeah, he's going to take the Seadra here. I guess just really making sure that Kingdra player is not getting anything out of these packs. I really love that, actually, because while taking the Line Topper can be really harmful, taking the Stage 1s can just, knife in the back there, just really hurt you, especially if they only have, like, 2 Seadras. And I'm sure he might take a Seadra. I don't know what's in the next pack, but there was like 3 Seadras, so he might just be able just to like take one out of the field, be like, all right, well you're not getting like anything from me, so he doesn't need the Cyndaquils, but he's like, I'm not dealing with Kingdra. That's what I'm getting from this draft. I am not dealing with Kingdra. I'm drafting weakness policy. I'm drafting Leafeons. I'm drafting Seadras, all to not play the deck.
Yeah, I think Zach is like playing the matchup from the draft. I really like this. He's probably gonna go for the Seadra, the Water Seadra, maybe the
Kulava.
Oh no, Kulava. Yeah. He needs Kulava. Yeah, this is a different question. He has 1. He has 2 Kulava. But this is the third
he's definitely
one.
preventing that one Seadra just freely ending up in their pool. He's like, okay, well now you have to now they at least get one less siege out of that pack, and then this pack, they have to take one. So I thought that was a really smart pick. The Tyranitar Prime still in the pack though. People are just not. They're like Typhlosion or Tyranitar. Nah, you can't make me do it.
I mean, it's one of the things where sometimes you need a linchpin card to appear early to go onto the line. I think Tyranitar Prime is one of them because the other Tyranitars, they're good. They're not great. Like we saw the Mysterious Treasure one. I think he went to last pick or second to last pick to someone else. Tyranitar EX, the one from Unseen Forces, also like good. It's good. It's not great. It is okay. Crush Draw probably ended up in a Delta deck.
Yeah.
EX Delta also pretty good. EX Delta is not bad at all. Like, it's a pretty decent line topper in a Delta deck. So I'd say that, yeah, like Tyranitar is a line where you either get Tyranitar Prime early or you don't even play it.
Yeah, I think a Crush Draw also is really important for Tyranitar. It keeps the energy consistent. Yeah. So when you don't have Crush Draw, it's so much harder to take the other Tyranitar, especially this late. Like, it's not like people are just packing like a 4/4 Pupitar line. They're like, all right, let's go. And people just pass up the Tyranitar late. Interesting to note, we also saw I think it's our 5th Vibrava we've seen.
Sure. Yeah.
Zach has 3. I know we commented we saw the 4th one, and then that's the 5th one right there.
1, 2, 3. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oak still that the last. Who's gonna get last pick Oak? Honestly.
I guess he gets the Oak just to.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't pass someone. Like I would just hand someone a Power Tree. It's not going in my deck. Like probably not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a lot of good special energy. I don't think that goes to his deck.
But if I ever got last pick Oak, I mean, like if you have Computer Search or Dowsing Machine, like it's different. But like, man, discard draw 7 still on items hard. Can get there pretty well. But it could have also been like maybe people are just really hurting for stage 1s. We saw a lot of stage 1s in that pack. We saw Vibravas, Seadras, Kulavas. A lot of those cards were in that pack, and depending on when people got into their lines, they might just be like, "Wow, I have one of my evolving stage 1 that I have to take this card over like an Oak."
Yeah, true. Okay. We're going to the last pack. What do you want to see here for Zach?
I would love to see a Rayquaza EX or a Prime, a Typhlosion Prime. Those would be great cards to see right now.
I think DC.
Another Seadra.
Marnie also
custom catcher, which is guaranteed 2. So much good cards in this pack. Like, I might. So I still think he took a lot of draw supporters that pack. The DCE I think is really good because all of the Leafeons I know have like a lot of DC requirements. Celebration Wind's also really good with the amount of energy you can get into play. Oh man, I'm glad I don't have to make this decision, but
I'm taking a look at these attackers. Flareon EX attacks for DCE. Typhlosion, Firestarter doesn't. It's fire colorless. Rage attacks for DC, so he can attach from out of nowhere. Just Firestarter DC and go. DC is pretty good here. Marnie is so strong in cube, but he has like a Desert Shaman, which is like a weaker version of that. I don't think I'd go for Marnie here. Probably the DC is just such a strong card that
and he already has
I'd never say no.
He already has 2 Pokemon catcher, so I don't know if he doesn't need to take the custom catchers either. He's gonna go for the Marnie though. Respectable pick, very much so. And we were saying he does need supporters still, so like I mean he is. It's fine. It's good consistency. It is a good disruption. It's an insane card in cube. Especially like if someone's playing something like a Beacon Vulpix, and you can be like, all right, well those cards are just going on the bottom of your deck, and if you take a knockout on the Vulpix, it's even better. I mean, it's just a good card. Like, just put it in your deck, I guess.
And like generally, his deck, like he has 12 supporters and 13 with the Marnie, but some of his supporters are not great. Like he has a Milo.
Yeah.
I think like I'd take this Marnie to go over the Milo. The DC is good. Of course, like there's decent attackers for the DC in this deck, but it's not all of them. There are turns where DC will be useless. So I don't think there will be turns where Marnie will be useless. And so, and again, versus Seeker Palpad, he can use this Marnie. Oh my God. Do you go for it? Do you just take it out? You have to take it out, right?
Oh, it's just staring at you in the face. Oh.
Yeah. You just hate this card. You just take it out and it's one less headache.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
go for
agree.
it.
If you took the
Yeah,
Kingdra
yeah,
AX, you might as well just
yes.
take it out of the field. That's like one pod where no one's gonna play it. That
Yeah,
that
that's like
is that is what you want to, as a Typhlosion player. Like, okay, so this is something I want to bring up because it's something you don't often talk about in like a Cube League setting because like hate drafting generally isn't that advantageous. But the idea of hate drafting obviously being it's a zero sum game, right? If I have Kingdra, no one else has Kingdra, and in like a 8-person pod or like one person pod or one pod existing. That makes sense because like only one Kingdra deck could ever come together. But there's multiple pods in this scenario, so there could be multiple Kingdra decks. But by taking the Kingdra LA, someone was fiending for it. They took the Seadra out of the other pack. You're just cutting them off completely. So that's one great matchup or one terrible matchup, I should say, out of the field. Granted, 2 more might exist, but I love this play so much because he definitely could take. Honestly, there's not a lot in this pack that I would really take over it. I mean, there's not really. I mean, Lookers is the only draw supporter he could really use. Maybe Seeker.
Yeah.
But taking the Kingdra out, it's like, do I take a draw supporter or do I take a bad matchup out of the field? And obviously, Kingdra LA, one of the strongest water types in the cube, and he's playing a fire type deck. Like, if it makes sense. So yeah, Dobby, you got any thoughts? I'm sorry, I kind of spoiled the spotlight there.
No, don't worry. Kingdra LA is probably the best single attacker in the cube. Like the best single card that attacks fast, attacks hard, has a lot of HP, doesn't die easily because its weakness is plus 30, and the attackers on that weakness are Ampharos, which is not gonna attack a lot. It's gonna sit on the bench a lot, and 130 HP, 1 prizer, attacks for free or for 1 energy. If you have like a 4 rare candy deck, this is attacking turn 2. It's like getting damage to itself because of not Dragon Pump, Aqua Stream. You can discard energy and get energy back in 1 shot and get knockouts already. Just literally the single best attacker in the cube, in my opinion.
Oh, I definitely I agree.
There are better cards, like if you see a Armaldo EX with 2 strong energy and like an expert belt, that's probably stronger, but that's like 3 specific cards, right? 3 or 4 specific cards we're talking about. This Kingdra is good on its own, so yeah, I think taking the Kingdra there it's the most correct thing in the world. You're playing a game of like small percentages now, which you're getting better matchups overall.
Yes.
In the tournament. It's not a lot, but like imagine one of your games is gonna be against like a bad Tyranitar deck now instead of like a bad Kingdra deck. A bad Kingdra deck is way harder to win.
Now, it would have been more interesting if like that pack had like a Juniper in it or something like that. Oh! And there's the Rayquaza EX. That is an insane pick. I hope he takes it. I mean, just but when you're looking at that pack, there was the only one draw supporter he could really utilize was Lookers. So like the Kingdra is like, let me just take a bad matchup out of the field. This is the perfect opportunity. I don't think you get a better opportunity to take that out of play. Yeah. And now he has Latias EX and Rayquaza EX. Rayquaza EX synergizing beautifully with those fire energy acceleration. And you can do so much damage with it. It's also great into like, you can knock out a big Flygon EX. You can knock out anything that's really in your path. This thing is just so aggressive. Even without the prime, he can still get there. I'm super excited.
Leafeon, it's pretty good with Rayquaza because you can just power it up from the active. You don't really care.
This was the number 1 card I was hoping he would see. The big silly snake, the one card that the Dragon Burst is just so strong, especially for this deck. Like you almost like want to have just an unlimited damage ceiling, with this card. So perfect card to come through here, and it's really great that he picked up stuff like the Chatot, the Tool Scrapper. He already picked up some transceivers because it would be a lot worse to pass these cards, but he already has great setup mons. He already has some transceivers to pad it out. He's already got tool removal. So I would be, maybe the Tool Scrapper comes back. I have no idea, honestly. I don't know how people are valuing the tool removal, but like most of these cards are not going to come back. That he already set himself in an outstanding position, and this is why you do that. Those little picks that you make along the way allow you to just to slam this Rayquaza EX with like no downside. So very happy to see that come through here right on time. Man, those were some insane back-to-back picks. Takes out an outstanding matchup, the worst matchup he could probably see on paper. And then picks up one of the best basics for his deck that I think is going to be a monster in this outstanding consistent energy he's already found for himself.
Yeah, this went really well. Like if we take a look at this deck now, we have a lot of good items. Like we have The trader, we have two reversal effect, two gust effects on a coin flip, two transceivers, like just two transceivers. Your support engine will not stop. It will never stop. Like you can use back-to-back scientists against like some crazy person with like a 12 card hand or something. Has a computer search, has a challenge, pretty good, pretty useful. Challenging for Chata will be very, very good, and like a lot of EVs and Cyndaquils. And even
Yeah.
the it's challengeable. There's no EX clause on that. Everything went out really, really well here. The one thing that it's kind of like weird is that he has two multi-energy, and that's it. That's his special energy, like energy that does multiple colors. He has one counter
Hmm.
also, but that doesn't work with the Rayquaza, and it's the only card that does work on. So you'd be happy to find like even just a rainbow, Aurora, or
Yeah.
a Hollow Pokemon would be great. So one of the things that his deck is also kind of lacking is Pokemon search on items. So this Great Ball is decent.
Yeah.
He's actually gonna have a lot of Pokemon. Just getting a Porygon 2, getting like the Chatot or even like a Quilava with this Great Ball is decent. This last few packs are you just pat out the deck and
Yeah.
see where your holes are. And like Great Ball is not a
It's not an amazing
the,
card, but it
yeah,
gets the
it
job
works.
done. It is
I
funny
guess it
though. There are two great balls in this pack, but they do entirely different things. The second great ball is actually just it's exactly like Nest Ball. I mean, it's the
doesn't get
first
Yaxes
version of
also.
Nest Ball. So, but the other great ball looks at the top 7, so it can search more evolution based. So I obviously picked that one in this case, but just kind of funny that two cards with the exact same name do completely different things in this cube.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the great ball, and I think this is one of those things that maybe some people find themselves in, where like they really like the level ball or like the luxury ball or the ultra ball, but like great ball, they're like, I don't really know, but like you really gotta take whatever the draft hands you at this point. Ditto Prison Star also in this
Ooh.
pack. That's kind of interesting. We see a surprise time machine. I mean, do you take the Ditto Prison Star here? Or do you take the Poke Kid? I don't know. I feel like maybe
Uh,
Ditto at least. Yeah, Poke Kid's good. We're just talking about he needs search. I think he's got
yeah.
enough of everything else. I think the Ditto Prison Star, honestly, one of the most infamous trap cards
Yeah.
out there. It totally
I agree.
baits you because it's so good when you think about it. I mean, it's got a lot of utility to it, but like in the long run, he's got enough basics that he's gonna be able to figure out to get the Quilava in play. I think the Poke Kid is just a better supporter for him to play to get him his Porygon. Honestly, gets the Porygon set up. He's drawing through the deck, doing pretty good. Sadly, Ditto does not search out Porygon.
Yes, exactly. He doesn't need this Ditto. Like, there are decks that really want the Ditto. Like, the
Right.
Evolutions deck would cry if it get the Ditto, but this is not one of them. He's fine without the Ditto. So yeah, Ditto's a trap card. Don't like go for it first thing and
Really consider
then
your
cry.
draft pool. Like what
Ooh,
value?
Holmas.
Holland Last coming through here too. That's insane.
Because yeah, we were talking about like the energy line not being like the best. So this Hollow can hit the multi-energy on the turn he needs to, because he doesn't need a lot of multi-energy. He needs like two of them is great. You're attacking with Leafeon, then the Leafeon gets knocked out, and then you just go from there with your like weakness policies and weakness guard energy. And like you have one other multi-energy to attach to your Rayquaza and hit for like a million. So the Hololaz will get again. He has two transceivers. He has the last. The last is there. He doesn't really need it. The Holland engine also really works well with the Porygon, because it discards a card from your hand. So even if you're like on the late game, Hololaz is like looking at the top 5, top 4, not great. Gets you an energy, discards you a card, and then you can Porygon after that to draw a few cards. Hololaz, super underrated card. Can get him Weakness Guard in the future. And important to say here, we've seen all packs, so there is no Typhlosion Prime for Zach.
Yeah, I bet that card probably got taken up early. I mean, it's a card you probably would just take early. I mean, regardless of what you're playing, I mean, it's just a really good build around. Kind of an interesting pick for him. I will say that I think the one thing Zach is like lacking in is just recovery. So like this Hapu here feels a lot worse.
Yeah.
Granted, he has some. He's got the rescue. He's got the energy retrieval. I mean, it's not outstanding. He's got Pal Pad, I guess. So but like Hapu plus the Misty's Wrath, it's just a lot. So I respect the restraint and not just taking the discard effects so early. The Shaman I think is good. I mean, with a deck like this, you can just pile on a big attack on like maybe a Typhlosion or something, and then be like, okay, now I'm gonna move all of this energy to Rayquaza EX, and sets up some big plays here. You
Hmm.
also can just let every Kingdra piece just go now because he does not care because they're all
Yeah, of course.
they don't. You know what? Maybe he plays Kingdra. I don't know. Maybe he's
No,
like
that's too much, Zach. I don't think you play Kingdra, but
he's just
the rest of the
cementing the
pack
fact.
is not
Maybe
great, right?
giving himself the option to maybe play a Kingdra LA line in his deck because he has the options to do it.
Oh,
Um,
sure. Yeah, that's a thing to think about. He has the option. Like the Bianca will not make his deck great. He's not
yeah,
using the Aspian with evolution memories for sure. The good part about the Leafeon is the typing, so you don't want to like change this typing at all.
right.
Dokkan EX, like there are moments where this card will absolutely destroy someone. I don't think this cube is one of them because the colorless weak line is Flygon,
Right.
and it's like probably one pod will have a pretty decent Flygon deck,
Right.
but not like three. It's not Salamence. It's not
And he already
Garchomp.
has Rayquaza if he really wants to blow up
Yeah,
an
yeah,
active Pokemon. I think this
yeah.
just gives him the option to play Kingdra LA because it's only one energy to do 60-20. So it's like maybe I don't actually know if he'll play it, but yeah, I mean like you're not really hurting for Bianca. You have double scientists. Like you can just you're looking to refill your and you also have backup. Like Seeker is like
Yeah.
okay as well. I just think maybe the Horsey just gives him that option. If he has a big brain moment where he's like, oh, I'll play his Kingdra LA line because I have the Seedras and stuff. Sure, why not? And there's
Yeah.
another Kulavo right there. I hate saying I have to imagine that's the pick because I'm always I always feel like I say that and then they take something completely different. But I mean he still has what 3 Kulavas?
Yeah, he has three Quillavas
So
and three Typhlosions, so he doesn't
I guess we're
need
looking
this
at like what
Quilava.
is better for him. He's got Mutant Gene. If he has any sort of Delta things, I don't see a reason to take like Tyranitar EX because like Tyranitar EX is. I guess if you want to take a line topper out of the field,
Mm,
the Zapdos is kind of weird too. I don't know. I mean, you actually want to make sure you're taking the right pick out of this pack, but I don't think anyone's on Tyranitar. He's gonna take the Mutant Gene, which I was kind of thinking he might take over the Kalava, because like I don't think Type Legend's gonna be like a huge like need to get out like multiple of them in this deck. I think it's gonna be like I need to get out my accelerators and we're good.
yeah.
The Mutant Gene I guess does allow him to evolve into those a little bit quicker.
I also think that taking out the mutant gene is the best like hate draft card in that pack,
Yeah.
just because maybe there's a crazy Delta deck and they are wheeling that. I don't think there is a Tyranitar deck. There's no Kingdra deck, so like when you don't need the Kolava, so that's like the not a great hate draft, but it's the best one you can do. And none
Mm-hmm.
of the cards will get your deck better, so like that's the best pick. Getting another Horsey here just probably for the memes.
Or he might be pivoting a little bit Kingdra into whatever deck he's playing. Kindra's just such a good card.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it can really just go into anything. It just takes one water energy to function. That, I mean, I thought we saw a Seadra, so they might just be given.
Yeah.
He does have the Kingdra EX if he wants to. So I mean, like, I'm not saying he does play Kingdra here. I'm not even saying that maybe we even see that come out. But I mean, just giving himself the option to play one of the best attackers in the cube. I mean, I think that's pretty strong.
Hmm.
But we'll see. We'll ultimately have to see. I'm super curious to see what this deck looks like because he's got a lot of options on how he wants to build this. He's got such great attackers for Typhlosion to set up. He took Kingdra LA out of this, so we might see that coming out. You never know. He's got lots of good EVs. He's got the Flareon EX, really good Leafeons also, so he can handle. I feel like he'd be able to handle other Kingdra decks with
Yeah.
some of these
Hmm.
Leafeons that he's got. And weakness policy, weakness guard, like, oh my gosh, it seems like one of those things. He just positioned himself really well here.
Hmm. I'm really like low power because of this. Like you have a Leafeon that we have a very specific attacker, like to the best attacker in the format. It feels like constructed in a way. Like when you're attacking,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Remember when you used to attack Lycum Rock
Or like
with
Zoroark.
like one? No,
Uh,
it's one energy Lycum Rock. that attack like basics, so you can kill hoopas, the hoopas with the scoundrel ring. There's a one energy Lycanroc that it's like 1 for 6, 1 for 30, and 30 more if it's basic. So 120 is a hoopa.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing a Diego Casiraga playing that. I was like, that's not a great tech, and he probably tested it a lot and knows that it's a great tech. So I really like these like weird attackers, like the Leafeon.
Yeah, like Pokemon you wouldn't expect to see in like a form deck like this, but they just work because of the meta and like how the field has evolved itself. So yeah, I definitely know what you mean. It is really cool to see how these like different strategies can like come out, and you can make it feels like Pokemon, where you have multiple Pokemon making a coherent team. You know, that's something that I think really cool that this cube in particular offers. You know, low power tends to be a cube where you get rewarded for not just building like the most straightforward version of a deck, but building a very I want to say complicated, but like intricate deck, a deck that can handle multiple things. So
Yeah,
you definitely see like the gloves are off in this race here. Like everyone's gonna be bringing their A game, trying to build the best decks they possibly can. And it looks like we are reaching the end here. I mean, you guys saw it firsthand. This draft was expertly drafted.
yeah.
Did not expect any less from Zach Kreckler. Such an outstanding player. Hopefully we see some of his games on the stream later. Davi, any thoughts in general on the draft or anything that you are excited to see moving forward?
A few things that I thought about where we're drafting. I really like how like we are so deep into cube that now we can get a cube and get like the meta of the cube. Everybody knows that Kingdra is good, so everybody's like preparing for that. Zach is really like very very well prepared for that type of deck. It's weird. That's not a thing that I expected to see out of like cube. But I think the community is evolving at such like a rapid pace that we are like metagaming cubes now, which is something that I did not expect to see. And this deck was very well drafted. This cube is very good. So like the cards are so balanced that by themselves, and even like the Typhlosion line without the best Typhlosion, it's pretty good. Like we're looking at this deck and say this is pretty good. This tells how well the cube is balanced.
Right.
And low power is such a good thing to see. It's so cool to watch low power games and seeing the crazy types of plays that like only the deck runner, the pilot can think and prepare, and like we as commentators don't get to see the thought that it goes into a deck like this. And we saw how the draft went. It was not easy, but worked. And
skillfully drafted, that's for sure.
Yeah, very skillfully drafted. I'm very interested to see Zach's games and everyone's games. I really want to see the meta game, how it works today.
Yep. So we'll have those results coming up very soon. Now, if you've been watching with us, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as we did. That was quite the ride. We'll be posting updates on the standing as we go through the tournament. We have a lot of games ahead of us, so stick around. When we come back, we'll be getting right into the middle of the tournament. So see you in just a second.